Chapter 1009. Fuck, you scared me to death. The dark red dragon also had a look of lingering fear. You still dare to say that? Lin Xian rolled his eyes. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have come to such a dangerous place. But I didn't expect there to be such a terrifying place in the Blood Realm. The dark red dragon said. It looks like an ancient ruin, but I don't know why it's buried underground. Looks like this Blood Realm is not simple. There should be some ancient secrets buried here. Forget it, who cares? If that zombie really comes out, the kings here will deal with it, so we don't have to worry about it. The dark red dragon shook his head, then stared at the supreme grade spirit fruit in the little white monkey's hand, and said with a flattering smile, Little one, give me one. The little white monkey had a proud look on its face. First, it plucked a spirit fruit and gave it to Lin Xian. Then, it reluctantly gave one to the dark red divine dragon. The other two were quickly swallowed by the dragon. After eating the two supreme grade spirit fruits, the little white monkey squinted its crescent-shaped eyes and looked intoxicated. The dark red dragon chuckled and also swallowed the supreme grade spirit fruit in his hand. He would not keep such a good thing. Lin Xian looked at the two gluttons. He shook his head helplessly. He flipped his palm. He put the supreme grade spirit fruit into his storage ring. As an alchemist, he would not waste a supreme grade spirit fruit like this. At the very least, he would make it into spirit wine or spirit pills. Moreover, with Zero's help, Lin Xian could now control the Thousand Beast Cauldron. Therefore, refining 7th grade pills was not a problem for him. What he lacked the most now were supreme grade spirit herbs. After putting away the supreme grade spirit fruit, Lin Xian looked into the distance again. He would remember this place. He decided that when he became stronger in the future, he would come here again and pluck all the supreme grade spirit fruits. Then, the two of them flew into the sky and flew into the distance. Not long after, they saw a city. It seemed that although this ruffian dragon was unreliable, he still managed to teleport near Crimson Crescent City. After entering the city, Lin Xian found it to be very lively. There were many young talents and some very dignified big shots. These people were all walking in the same direction, with a trace of excitement on their faces. Hey, have you heard? I heard that the Morong clan's goddess is also coming to this birthday banquet. Of course I've heard about it. I must show off my skills at this birthday banquet. If I can get Morong Kingcheng's favor, I can directly enter the Morong clan. You're dreaming, you? Beat me first. Once they were all very excited. Lin Xian was a little speechless. Were these people here to attend the birthday banquet, or to look at the beauties? This Crimson Crescent City was different from other cities, because the entire city was a huge mansion. There were pavilions, terraces, and waterfalls everywhere. All kinds of strange beasts were walking on the ground. Lin Xian was flabbergasted as he watched. He exclaimed in his heart. As expected of the Morong clan, an elder could actually own a city and use it as his own residence. This was simply too imposing and too shocking. As they walked further into the city, the scenery changed again. Rows of palaces and pavilions stood on the ground like shining stars. It was very magnificent. Many red-crowned cranes were wandering around. It was like a paradise on earth. That was just the periphery. The real core was in front of them. There were 2 rows of young disciples in front of them. They were greeting guests. Those disciples were all very handsome. They were wearing white robes with the Morong clan's emblem on their chests. Although they were greeting guests with smiles on their faces, their eyes were filled with arrogance. You can't bring your pet inside. Suddenly, one of the Morong clan's disciples stopped Lin Xian and said, You can forget about the monkey, but you can't bring the snake inside. You bastard, what kind of look is that? You're the snake. Your whole family are snakes. Before Lin Xian could say anything, the Crimson Dragon roared angrily. It was a member of the Divine Dragon clan. It hated being called a snake the most. However, it looked very much like a snake right now. Hearing this, the surrounding crowd was shocked. They all looked over. The Morong clan's disciple was also shocked. This snake can talk. Brat, if you dare to talk about me again, I'll beat you into a pig's head. The Crimson Dragon gritted its teeth. It had recovered part of its strength, so it was not afraid. These people would not be able to catch it anyway. Being threatened by a snake, The Morong clan's disciple's face darkened. He then glared fiercely at Lin Xian and said, "Your snake has violent tendencies. All the more reason not to let it in." Although a talking snake was very mysterious, as a disciple of the Morong clan, they had seen all kinds of strange things. Forget about a snake, they had even seen a talking skeleton. Therefore, after the initial shock, these people had calmed down. Hearing this, Lin Xian's face darkened. This was because he had seen a group of people riding on strange beasts being respectfully welcomed by humans. Those were all demon generals. They were extremely powerful. If they were to talk about danger, those demon generals would be more dangerous. However, the Morong clan's disciples did not stop them. Instead, they stopped Lin Xian. It was obvious that those people were not ordinary cultivators. Although Lin Xian had an extraordinary appearance, he was dressed plainly. Moreover, he was coming here alone. At first glance, they could tell that he was not a disciple of a large force. Therefore, the Morong clan's disciples did not treat him well. "Brat, which clan are you from? Do you have an invitation? Where's your elder? Call him over." Another woman stepped forward. Her words were even harsher. "I don't think you have the right to meet my elder," Lin Xian said coldly with his hands behind his back. He could tell that these people were obviously looking for trouble and wanted to bully him. Although he did not know the reason, he could guess that although these people were disciples of the Morong clan, their real status was not high. Otherwise, they would not have been assigned to be doormen. Therefore, although they appeared to be of noble status to outsiders, their real status was relatively lowly. Therefore, these people's mentality was slightly twisted. In addition, they still had to greet those big shots with a smile, so their mentality was even more twisted. This time, when they saw that Lin Xian seemed easy to bully, of course they would treat him coldly to show their status as disciples of a large clan. However, they were obviously looking for the wrong person. This was because the young man in front of them was not afraid of their scolding. Instead, a fierce aura surged from his body, causing their hearts to tremble slightly. Chapter 10:10. The disciples of the Morong family were furious and emitted a terrifying aura. Although they were just doormen, they were still disciples of the Morong family. They were members of a king family. Now an unknown kid dared to threaten them. He had committed a heinous crime. In their opinion, Lin Xian's actions were unforgivable. "How dare you? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to rebel?" The woman shouted coldly. "Kid, you've come to the wrong place if you're looking for trouble. This is not a place where you can behave atrociously." The young man scoffed. "Get out of here, or don't blame us for being rude." Hearing this, Lin Xian's lips curled into a disdainful smile. These people were used to being arrogant. He had not done anything, and they had already labeled him as a troublemaker. The disciples of the Morong family were aggressive and did not take Lin Xian seriously at all. The Crimson Dragon was unhappy. "What's with your attitude? You invited me here, and now you're treating me like this. What? Are you looking down on me? A bunch of dogs. If it wasn't for the Morong girl's family, I wouldn't have come even if you invited me." Hearing this, the surrounding martial artists were stunned. They did not expect that someone would dare to provoke the Morong family. Moreover, they were in the Morong family's territory. Where did this kid come from? How dare he be fearless of the Morong family? Who knows? Look at him. He only has a snake by his side. He doesn't have any servants, and he's not dressed very well. He's definitely not a disciple of a big family. Maybe he's just a rash kid. The group of people discussed animatedly. They all thought that Lin Xian was dead meat. The disciples of the Morong family were so angry that their bodies trembled. "Kid, how dare you speak such arrogant words and threaten us? I think you don't know how to write the word death." The few of them looked ferocious. It was obvious that they wanted to attack. They all had cold smiles on their faces as powerful auras emanated from their bodies. They formed a circle and surrounded Lin Xian. Lin Xian was not afraid at all. Although the people in front of him were aggressive and looked powerful to outsiders, they were not a threat to him. Seeing that the atmosphere was tense, and they were about to attack, a shout came from afar. "Stop." When he heard this voice, Lin Xian turned slightly cold. The faces of the Morong family disciples also changed, and they stopped in their tracks. The surrounding people were also surprised and bewildered. They did not expect that there would be someone who would step forward to stop them. However, judging by the looks of the Morong clan's disciples, the person who came should not be a simple person. Sure enough, a ray of light flashed, and a figure rushed over from afar, appearing in front of everyone. This was a beautiful woman. She wore a light yellow dress, and her appearance was pretty and cute. However, there was a hint of anger in her eyes. Sister Ling. A few of the Morong clan's disciples shouted respectfully. Lin Xian smiled. So it's you. The person who came was none other than Morong Qingcheng's little girl Ling. Ling put her hands on her waist and said, "This is Lin Xian, young Master Lin. He is a guest invited by the young miss. How dare you stop him? Quickly leave." Young miss invited him. When the Morong clan's disciples heard this, their bodies trembled, and their eyes were filled with shock. At the same time, their hearts were filled with fear and regret. They did not expect that the young man in front of them was a guest invited by the young miss. "Young Master Lin, we did not know who you were. Please forgive us," a few of the Morong clan's disciples said. "It's nothing." Lin Xian shook his head. After all, they were disciples of the Morong clan, and today was Elder Mirong's birthday banquet. He would not disrespect the Morong clan over such a small matter. Moreover, the other party had apologized and seemed to be quite frightened. They probably would not dare to cause trouble for him in the future. "Young Master Lin, please follow me." Ling gestured for Lin Xian to follow her. Lin Xian nodded and followed Ling. After Lin Xian left, the Morong clan's disciples let out a sigh of relief. Their faces were filled with fear. It was too dangerous just now. If the other party did not give up and insisted on going to the young miss, they would definitely be punished. Fortunately, they were safe now. However, they decided that they would not provoke the other party in the future. The surrounding crowd was even more shocked. This outcome was completely different from what they had imagined. They had originally thought that the young man would be thrown out by the Morong clan's disciples and be taught a lesson. However, they did not expect that someone would respectfully invite him in. Moreover, the young miss that Ling had mentioned had piqued their interest. To be able to make the Morong clan's disciples so frightened, her identity must be extraordinary. However, they did not think that it could be Morong Qingcheng. After all, there were quite a few core disciples of the Morong clan who had come this time. Moreover, these people did not think that Lin Xian would be related to Morong Qingcheng. If they knew, their jaws would definitely drop. Lin Xian followed Ling and walked towards the palace's balcony. "You bastard! What trick did you use to trick the young miss into inviting you here?" Ling asked fiercely. "I'm warning you. Don't you dare have any ideas about my young miss. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson." Obviously, the little girl had received Morong Qingcheng's orders to come. However, she did not have a good impression of Lin Xian. Lin Xian smiled bitterly and touched his nose. He did not answer. At this time, anything he said would be wrong. Therefore, it was better not to say anything. The front was bustling with noise and excitement again. Many martial artists came and went. Moreover, their identities and auras were far superior to those on the outside. Humph! Suddenly, a cold snort was heard. It was filled with hostility. Lin Xian turned his head slightly and sneered. This was because not far away, Lu Chang was staring at him with hatred. The murderous intent in his eyes was about to condense. However, Lin Xian did not care. He knew that Lu Chang would not dare to make a move. As expected, Lu Chang was staring at him and did not do anything. "You really know how to cause trouble. You've just arrived and you've already provoked people?" Linger frowned. "It's nothing. Just an old enemy. But now, I won't stoop to his level," Lin Xian said coolly. Indeed, if it were in the past, Lin Xian would definitely treat Lu Chang as an opponent. However, after this period of sharpening, his strength and vision had become much higher. "What, did I hit a sore spot?" Lin Xian sneered coldly. Those who are powerful will ignore whatever others say. Because they are strong, they don't need the outside world's comments. Only those without strength will jump up and down all day, as if they're afraid that others won't know of their existence. These clowns are only fit to be jokes. When it comes to fighting, they're not even worth mentioning. Lin Xian's voice was like a sharp sword that pierced deeply into their hearts. Immediately, Lu Chang, Shen Yaotian, and the others trembled in anger. Clown! You're the first person who dares to say that to a Shen family's disciple. A cold voice sounded, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. Everyone turned around and saw a very handsome man walking over from afar. He held a jade wine cup in his hand, and his expression was extremely cold. Although he didn't deliberately release his aura, he was like a god of war, giving off an endless sense of oppression. So powerful. Feeling this pressure, the faces of the surrounding martial artists all changed. Too powerful. This young man definitely has the strength of a fourth firmament venerable. A fourth firmament venerable was already a powerhouse. Who was this young man to have such terrifying strength at such a young age? The surrounding warriors were shocked. On the other hand, Shen Yaotian and the others were excited and overjoyed. Brother Yulong, Shen Yaotian, and the others shouted excitedly. Linger also frowned slightly. She didn't expect things to become so complicated. Be careful. This person is called Shen Yulong, a core disciple of the Shen family. His strength is definitely not comparable to Shen Yaotian and the others. Linger quickly sent a voice transmission to Lin Xian, a core disciple of the Shen family. Hearing that, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He could naturally feel the other party's powerful aura. This is a core disciple of the Shen family? Very strong. Even in the Immortal Martial Academy, he should be in the top 10. As expected of a king family, they're really strong. Lin Xian sighed in his heart. Although he didn't get along with the other party, he had to admit that a disciple from a king family was definitely terrifying. However, he still couldn't intimidate them. Shen Yulong, he's Shen Yulong. At this moment, the surrounding warriors exclaimed. He was a core disciple of the Shen family. No wonder his aura was so strong. They didn't expect to meet a core disciple of a king family. It seemed like this banquet wasn't in vain. The surrounding warriors were excited. It couldn't be helped. A king family was the overlord of the Sky Martial Continent. They were the most sacred place in everyone's heart. And a disciple from a king family was a peerless genius that others looked up to. Shen Yulong's expression was cold as he walked over slowly with a jade wine cup in his hand. He walked to the front of Lin Xian with a disdainful smile on his face. He had heard of Lin Xian's name a long time ago. A brat with no background, and only some talent dared to get close to Morong Qingcheng. He really didn't know how to write the word death. Today, he wanted to see what kind of ability Lin Xian had. Shen Yulong's appearance shocked the surrounding warriors. The Shen family disciples were even more excited. Chapter 10-12. What's wrong? You look so confident. Could it be that you're even better at living off a woman? Lin Xian casually said. Lin Xian didn't care about Shen Yulong's status and strength at all. Hence, he wasn't polite at all. Facing the powerful Shen Yulong, Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. The surrounding crowd was shocked. Who was Shen Yulong? He was a core disciple of the Shen clan, a genius of a king clan. Even the elders and patriarchs of the clan would have to bow to him when they saw him. But now, there was actually someone who dared to provoke him. This was simply too shocking. Who is that brat? What's his background? Do you guys know? Could it be that he's also a disciple of a peak power? Not sure. I've never seen him before. The crowd discussed, guessing Lin Xian's identity. In their opinion, someone who dared to go against a core disciple of the Shen clan should also be a disciple from a peak power. However, after asking around, they realized that no one knew who Lin Xian was. The reason was simple. Lin Xian was only a famous figure in the Immortal Martial Academy. These people came from all over the Blood Realm and weren't even disciples of the academy. Hence, it was normal that they hadn't heard of Lin Xian before. But when Shen Yulong heard this, his face sank. A little disciple of the Immortal Martial Academy actually dared to speak to him like this. He must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts. Brat, you're very brave. But do you know the consequences of saying such words? Shen Yulong's voice was cold and contained a trace of killing intent. Then you don't know the consequences of saying such words to me? Lin Xian didn't back down and retorted back. Seeing this scene, the eyes of the surrounding cultivators almost popped out. This was the first time they saw someone who dared to go against Shen Yulong. Good. Good. Brat, you've got guts. You're the first one who dares to threaten me. After the banquet, let's have a good spar. Let me see if your strength is as good as your mouth. Shen Yulong coldly said. His eyes emitted a sinister light. I couldn't ask for more. I also want to see what kind of standard the Chen family's core disciples have. Lin Xian sneered, not caring at all. He's just a little disciple of the Immortal Martial Academy. Why would Brother Yulong need to personally deal with such a small matter? Another cold shout was heard. Then, a tall figure appeared in front of everyone. This was also a young man. His appearance was extremely coarse, and he carried a type of wild beauty. He took a step forward and instantly traversed several hundred feet. In just 2 or 3 steps, he had arrived in front of everyone. So fast. What exquisite footwork! Everyone gasped in surprise. This kind of speed had already exceeded their expectations. Needless to say, the person who came was another top youth expert. Big brother. Seeing this wild youth, Lu Chang cried out excitedly. The other Lu family disciples also shouted excitedly. Big brother Lu Lai. I'd like to see who dares to spout such nonsense and challenge Brother Yulong. Lu Lai was tall and his eyes were sharp. He was like a peerless, ferocious beast with a terrifying aura. Seeing this scene, Linger sighed. Sure enough, the Lu family had also intervened. Looking at the current situation, Lin Xian was most probably in danger. Sighing, she could only hurriedly say, Everyone, this young Master Lin was invited by our Mississippi. I hope everyone won't obstruct him. Miss Linger, we want not give face to Miss Qingcheng. It's just that what capabilities does this fellow have to be able to gain Miss Qingcheng's favor? I think Miss Qingcheng might have been deceived by him. Now I'm going to unveil his ugly face. Lu Lai's voice was sonorous like thunder, resounding in all directions. Miss Qingcheng? Don't tell me it's Morong Qingcheng. Hearing this, everyone was incomparably shocked. They didn't expect this young man in front of them to be someone personally invited by Morong Qingcheng. This was too shocking. One must know that even Shen Yulong and Lu Lai didn't have such face. Also, from Lu Lai's words, this young man seemed to be a disciple of the Immortal Martial Academy. But when did the Immortal Martial Academy produce such a disciple? However, they believed that from today onwards, Lin Xian's name would enter the eyes of these people. I also want to see what exactly is it that can make you so arrogant. Lin Xian took a step forward as a sharp aura gushed forth from his body. Facing the domineering Lu Chang, he still had no fear and was prepared to fight at any moment. Feeling the aura exuding from Lin Xian, the surrounding cultivators all drew in a breath of cold air, because that aura was too terrifying. It was like a peerless divine sword being unsheathed, causing everyone to feel fear in their hearts. What a sharp sword chi! As expected of someone invited by Miss Morong, he's indeed very powerful. Those present weren't weaklings. Although there was only a strand of aura, they could still sense the terrifying energy contained within Lin Xian's body. Everyone was extremely agitated. These two could be considered peak experts of the younger generation. If they really fought, it would definitely be an exciting battle. Oh, someone wants to fight. Let me take a look. At this moment, the laughter rang out. Next, a young man clad in luxurious robes walked over from afar. He had a smile on his face as he laughed heartily. Upon seeing that person, Linger heaved a sigh of relief. Originally, she was worried that Lin Xian and Lu Lai would be at a disadvantage if they fought. Now, it seemed that everything would be fine. Young Master Qingshu, you've also come, Linger said. The surrounding cultivators were all moved. They didn't expect Morong Qingshu to come here. This birthday banquet was organized by a very high-status elder of the Morong family. Morong Qingshu was the direct descendant of this elder. In other words, Morong Qingshu was the young master of Crimson Lunar City. Therefore, his identity was also extraordinary. After knowing the identity of the other party, Lin Xian withdrew the sword chi from his body and no longer attacked. On the side, the dark red divine dragon coldly said to Lu Lai, Brat, consider yourself lucky. Otherwise, you would have already been struck to death. It's really angry. These people are too despicable. They all deserve to die. Lu Lai coldly snorted as a terrifying light shot out from his eyes. Morong Qingshu strode over with a smile on his face and said in a clear voice, Everyone, today is my ancestor's birthday banquet. Please give me some face and fight another day. At that time, I can invite all of my good friends to witness the two of you. Since Brother Qingshu has spoken, then he'll fight another day. Lu Lai turned around and smiled at Morong Qingshu. Then, he turned his head and looked at Lin Xian once again. He coldly said, "Consider yourself lucky. I'll let you live for a few more days. Enjoy your last moments." Lu Lai looked down from above like a death god, as he announced the date of Lin Xian's death. "Surnamed Lu, if you dare to speak to me like that again, do you believe that I won't strike you with my sword? I don't care what your identity is." Lin Xian was also angry. The other party was so aggressive, and had provoked him time and time again. Even a person made of clay would have some anger, let alone him. Chapter 10:13. The sword Qi was very close to Lu Lai, as if it would slash down at any moment. "You dare to attack me?" Lu Lai was enraged. He did not expect the other party to attack him. In the next moment, he glared at Lin Fan as well. The aura on his body was like a flood, rumbling loudly. A huge amount of energy gathered and rushed forward, as if it was going to tear Lin Xian apart. Bang! Lin Xian sneered. The sword Qi on his body shone even more brightly. It was like a rainbow as it slashed forward. He had directly used the power of the great dragon sword soul for this attack. It was extremely powerful. He did this to intimidate the crowd, and let them know that he, Lin Xian, was not someone who could be provoked. The sword Qi was like a rainbow, quickly slicing through Lu Lai's aura and slashing down. Lu Lai was shocked. He did not expect Lin Xian's sword Qi to be so sharp that it could slice through his aura. With a low roar, he waved his palm and slapped upwards. Boom! In the next moment, the two collided, letting out a low rumbling sound as if metal and stone had collided. Under the crowd's shocked gaze, Lu Lai took 3 steps back. His palm was scarlet red and fresh blood flowed down his fingertips, dripping onto the ground. It was extremely eye-catching. What? Lu Lai is injured? How is that possible? Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. They did not expect Lu Lai to be the one who was injured in the clash. This was too unbelievable. Lu Lai was a genius disciple of the Lu family, and the Lu family was one of the 8 great families under Prince Lingfeng. They were extremely powerful. Although they could not be compared to the king families, they were not people who could be provoked by ordinary people. Moreover, Lu Lai was very powerful. He was not inferior to Xin Yulong. However, such a powerful person was injured. Moreover, he was injured by a single slash. Everyone looked at Lin Xian, their hearts trembling. Xin Yulong, Morong Qingshu, and the rest frowned. They did not expect Lu Lai to be injured. Lu Lai was both shocked and furious. He did not put Lin Xian in his eyes at first. He thought that Lin Xian was just an ant that he could casually squash to death. However, things went beyond his expectations. His opponent's sword Qi was too sharp, and it actually injured him. Although it was only a cut on his palm, it still made him very angry, because no one had ever been able to hurt him so easily. Lin Xian was also speechless. To be honest, his opponent's strength was above his expectations. Originally, he thought that even if he couldn't kill his opponent, he would at least be able to sever his opponent's hand. But now, his opponent only had a small cut, and didn't suffer any substantial damage. No wonder the other party was so arrogant before. It seemed that he had the strength to back up his arrogance. Lu Lai's spirit force surged into his palm. The next moment, the blood stopped flowing, and the sword wound quickly formed a scar. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Lin Xian like a beast. "Brat, how dare you hurt me? I'll kill you." Lu Jiang roared angrily, and the spiritual energy in his body suddenly erupted, wrapping him up like a ball of fire. The sword mark on his palm quickly disappeared, and his entire palm returned to normal. "This aura is so strong." The surrounding people cried out in surprise and kept retreating. They had no choice. Lu Lai's current aura was too strong. It was definitely the pressure of a 4th heaven venerable, and it wasn't an ordinary one. The spiritual energy on the surface of Lu Lai's body pulsed like divine flames. His eyes were cold as he stared at Lin Xian. On the other hand, Lin Xian snorted coldly and pointed his finger forward like a sword. "That sword strike just now was a warning to you. If you continue to cause trouble, it won't be as simple as a cut on your palm next time. If you don't believe me, you can try. Lin Xian's voice was like a sharp sword that shook the surroundings. Hearing that, the surrounding warriors were all stunned as if they had seen a ghost. Who was Lu Lai? He was a genius warrior of the Lu family, even a core disciple of a king family, like Shen Yulong addressed him as brother. One could imagine how powerful Lu Lai was. And now, he was being scolded by a young man in public. This was a slap to his face. You're courting death. Lu Lai roared angrily and threw out a punch. This punch was filled with spiritual energy and shone brightly. It was like a demonic mountain that charged forward rapidly. At this moment, Lu Lai attacked with all his might. He couldn't wait to punch Lin Xian into a bloody mist. Lin Xian sneered and was not afraid. He waved his arm and landed quickly. An icy blue aura bloomed from his fingertip and turned into an icy sword aura that slashed forward quickly. Accompanying it was a monstrous and terrifying icy aura. Boom! A deep sound was heard as boundless icy aura spread out, as if it was going to freeze the entire world. This sword strike was too sharp. It contained the power of the great dragon sword soul, and was extremely powerful. It forced Lu Lai back again. This time, Lu Lai's fist cracked again, and a terrifying crack appeared on it. Blood spurted out again, but this time, it was frozen into ice by the icy aura before it could fall to the ground. This is what gives you the right to be arrogant. What a joke! Lin Xian sneered. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you are a disciple of the Lu family. Let me tell you, you are nothing in front of me. Lin Xian stood proudly with his black hair fluttering in the wind. At this moment, he was like a sword god looking down on his opponent. Previously, Lu Lai had looked down on him with an arrogant attitude. Now, he was going to return the favor with a similar attitude. He wanted to let Lu Lai have a taste of being looked down on and looked down on. When the crowd saw this, their eyelids twitched and they were shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to be so powerful. His attack was too terrifying. Even Lu Lai was no match for him. There was no suspense in the fight unless Lu Lai used his martial soul and used all his strength. But no matter what the final result was, Lin Xian's name was etched in everyone's heart. This was definitely a person more terrifying than Lu Lai. Lu Lai was so angry that his body trembled. His face was ferocious as he roared to the sky. Kid, after the birthday banquet, you and I will fight to the death. I will kill you with my own hands. He was too angry and too aggrieved. If they were not in Crimson Crescent City today, and did not have to care about the Morong family's reputation, he would have used all his strength to kill Lin Xian. He would not be as aggrieved as he was now. However, he also decided that after the birthday banquet, he would kill Lin Xian in an extremely brutal way. You still dare to be stubborn? Looks like I didn't teach you a lesson. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He waved his arm again, and a stunning sword chi was released. It tore through the starry sky and slashed forward. Wasn't Lin Xian arrogant and insolent? Wasn't he looking down on everyone? Now, he was going to be even more insolent and arrogant than Lin Xian. He wanted to defeat Lu Lai completely. Lu Lai's face was ferocious, and his body trembled with anger. As a genius disciple of the Lu family, he was respected by everyone. Even the core disciples of the King family would call him a friend. But now he was being bullied by a kid. Chapter 10:14. Moreover, what made him even angrier was that he had been suppressed in front of everyone. This made him lose all his face. How was he going to show his face in the future? Little Xian, well done. That's so satisfying. The dark red dragon cheered from the side. Who does he think he is? How dare he look down on us? How despicable. If I still had my powers, I would eat him. The dark red dragon stomped its feet, itching to go up and eat him. Ling Er's mouth twitched. She didn't expect Lin Xian to be so powerful. Moreover, his attitude was even more decisive and arrogant. He wanted to completely defeat Lu Lai and ruin his reputation, so that he wouldn't be able to face everyone. After this battle, Lu Lai's reputation would be greatly reduced. Peng. Another dazzling sword chi, sharp to the extreme, like the Milky Way, quickly slashed down, causing Lu Lai to tremble all over as he continuously retreated. Ah, I'm going to kill you. Lu Lai finally couldn't take it anymore. His eyes were filled with madness. With a roar, his aura suddenly erupted. Lu Lai finally couldn't take it anymore. With a long roar, his body emitted a terrifying light. He wanted to fight to the death with Lin Xian. What? You can't take it anymore? Come on then. If you dare to make a move, I'll cut you in half. Sword aura surrounded Lin Xian's body. His fingertips emitted a dazzling sword light. He took a step forward and was about to wield his sword aura. Stop. At this moment, Morong Qingshu suddenly shouted and stood between the two of them. His face was cold and his body carried a terrifying aura. At the same time, his voice seemed to contain a calming power. Today is my ancestor's 800th birthday. I hope the two of you can restrain yourselves. His voice was cold and unquestionable. Little brother, I respect you as a guest brought by Qingcheng, so I've been holding back. However, don't go too far. You should know that this is Crimson Crescent City, the Morong family's territory. Not just anyone can behave atrociously here. Morong Qingshu stared at Lin Xian, his voice cold. That's what you're saying? Lin Xian sneered. Didn't you see that he was the one who provoked me first? If he hadn't been so aggressive, I wouldn't have attacked him. No matter what, I'm a victim. I think you should blame him. Lin Xian shrugged and said indifferently. Humph. Lu Lai shouted coldly. Brother Qingshu, I'll give you face this time. After the banquet, I'll kill him myself. I hope you won't stop me. With that, he turned around and left with the Lu family disciples. Ling bring me to see Qingcheng. Lin Xian spoke. After that, he walked past Morong Qingshu, ignoring him. Clearly, Morong Qingshu and Lu Lai were in cahoots. Otherwise, he would not have spoken up for Lu Lai. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to pay any attention to the other party. When he saw this scene, Morong Qingshu's expression turned gloomy. He was a true disciple of a king clan, and he was even the young master of Crimson Crescent City. His status was lofty, and no one dared to disrespect him. But now, a brat actually dared to ignore him. If Lu Lai was not brought here by Qingcheng, he would have already ordered people to throw him out. Brother, that brat is too despicable. I'll go teach him a lesson. At the side, a girl in a blue dress said in a low voice. This woman's appearance could be considered pretty, but her pair of eyes flashed with a cold light, making people feel extremely uncomfortable. Don't be rash. After all, he is brought here by Qingcheng. Right now we are still unable to contend with Qingcheng. Don't worry, I'll just teach him a lesson. I won't take his life. Seeing that Morong Qingshu did not object, the girl sneered again and left quickly. When Lin Xian arrived at a hall, he realized that Morong Qingshu was not there. She had been called away by an elder of the clan. It seemed like they were discussing something. Since he was bored, Lin Xian strolled around. Little brother, how should I address you? Why don't we get to know each other? Brother Lin, your heroic bearing just now is really enviable. Seeing that Lin Xian was strolling around alone, several cultivators in the surroundings walked over to chat with him. Although Lin Xian and Lu Lai were at odds with the Lu clan, not everyone here were friends of the Lu clan. There were also some who were enemies. Hence, at this moment, these people seemed to have the intention of befriending Lin Xian. The few of them chatted harmoniously. At this moment, a disciple from the Crimson Lunar City walked over and snorted in a low voice. Isn't he just a small disciple of the Immortal Martial Academy? Does he really think he's someone important? He actually dared to make a move in the Crimson Lunar City. How audacious. Yeah, he doesn't even have Brother Qingshu in his eyes. Too despicable. If it wasn't for Sister Qingcheng, he wouldn't even be able to enter the banquet. Many disciples from the Crimson Lunar City mocked. At this moment, a girl in a blue dress walked over and coldly laughed. I heard that Sir Lin's name shook the entire Immortal Martial Academy. Now that I've met you, your reputation is indeed well-deserved. Although you are a guest invited by Sister Qingcheng, you should have prepared a gift, right? I wonder what kind of heaven-shaking gift a genius like you would have prepared. Why don't you take it out and let us have a look? Him? What kind of gift can he take out? I don't think he prepared anything. So what if he prepared something? It's probably some trash that he wouldn't dare to take out. A few disciples from the Crimson Lunar City sneered. Hey, you guys can't say that. No matter what, Brother Lin is still a genius of the Immortal Martial Academy. How could he be so poor that he can't even take out a gift? Morongqian laughed. Don't underestimate Brother Lin. Do you know what sword he's carrying on his back? That's a half-earth rank treasure, the solitary star sword. What? A half-earth rank treasure? Hearing this, the surrounding people were stunned. The few cultivators who were chatting with Lin Xian also widened their eyes. They didn't know that the treasure sword on Lin Xian's back was actually so valuable. The few disciples from the Crimson Lunar City looked at each other. They really didn't know that Lin Xian had a half-earth rank treasure. However, since Morongqian had said it, it shouldn't be false. In an instant, the way the crowd looked at Lin Xian changed. Greed and jealousy could be seen in their eyes. It couldn't be helped. A half-earth rank treasure was too valuable. Even a core disciple of a royal family, like Shen Yilong, didn't have one. One could imagine how valuable it was. Lin Xian furrowed his brows. The woman in front of him had acted strangely and wanted to stir up trouble. It was obvious that she wanted to mock and frame him. It seemed that the strength he had displayed earlier wasn't enough. Otherwise, these people wouldn't have dared to provoke him. However, he was here to participate in the birthday banquet, and the other party was a member of the Morong family. Therefore, Lin Xian couldn't act out. He sneered in his heart. He wanted to see what the other party was up to. Seeing that Lin Xian didn't speak, Morongqian sneered. Sir Lin, why be so stingy? Why don't you show us the gift? Could it be that Sir Lin really didn't prepare anything? Chapter 10:15. Aya, this is too bad. No matter what, you're still a disciple of the Immortal Martial Academy. You're more suitable to be Sister Qingcheng's guest. It wouldn't be good if you didn't prepare a gift. At that time, Sister Qingcheng and the Immortal Martial Academy will lose face because of you. Morongqian had a regretful look on her face. But soon after, she smiled and said, It's fine even if you didn't prepare anything. I'll help you think of a way. My ancestor loves to collect treasured swords. If you present the Lone Star Sword as a gift, I'm sure my ancestor will be overjoyed. Moreover, you can protect Sister Qingcheng and the Immortal Martial Academy's face. This is killing two birds with one stone. Hearing this, the surrounding cultivators were shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. Using a half-earth tier treasure as a gift, this was too extravagant. It seemed like the attitude of the Crimson Crescent City disciples towards Lin Xian wasn't too friendly. They obviously wanted to snatch the Lone Star Sword. Lin Xian's face sank as he asked coldly, Who are you? I'm Morongqian, just a small disciple of the Crimson Crescent City. Wasn't young Master Lin invited by Sister Qingcheng? Why aren't you with her? Oh, I remember now. Sister Qingcheng went to discuss something with the elders. Of course you can't enter. Ahahaha. Morongqian laughed. Her voice was filled with disdain. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Sister Qingcheng? So you're Morongqian's sister? I'm Qingcheng's good friend. Speaking of which, I'm also your elder brother. How can you be so disrespectful to your elder brother? I'm thirsty. Get me a cup of tea. Lin Xian sneered. You. Morongqian was so angry that her body trembled. What was her identity? Although she wasn't a direct disciple of the Crimson Crescent City, she was still an outstanding disciple. She had a noble status, and had never been ordered around by others. And now, a despicable brat actually dared to take advantage of her and order her around. He was really courting death. As a younger sister, you should have the awareness of a younger sister. What's wrong? You don't even want to listen to your elder brother's words? Lin Xian smiled again. While you're at it, bring me a chair. I'll wait here for Qingcheng. Brat, don't go too far. Morongqian scoffed icily. I'm only giving face to Sister Qingcheng. Otherwise, do you think that you could be so arrogant? Hearing this, Lin Xian laughed. You really don't know your place. I'm just giving Qingcheng face. Otherwise, based on what you said just now, do you think you'd still be standing? Brat, you're playing with fire. Morongqian's expression was gloomy and cold. As one of the most outstanding disciples of Crimson Crescent City, she usually behaved like a princess, and had never suffered such humiliation. Originally, she had come to ridicule Lin Xian, but she didn't expect that she would be the one being bullied. This made her furious. At this moment, The surrounding dancers also looked over and started discussing. Those gazes caused Morong Qian's expression to darken even further. Lin Xian sneered. He still wanted to say something, but his brows suddenly twitched. He used his soul force to check behind him, and discovered that Morong Qingshu was also among them. Instantly, the corners of his lips curled up, and he stopped talking. Brat, how dare you provoke me? You're dead meat. Morong Qian gritted her teeth. What? Is this how Crimson Crescent City treats its guests? You even threaten your guests. Lin Xian said in a low voice. If that's the case, I'd better leave. I don't want to be harmed by Crimson Crescent City. You. Morong Qian's chest trembled in anger. She wanted to say something more, but at this moment, a loud shout came from behind her. Shut up. Then, Morong Qingshu strode over with a gloomy face. Seeing that it was Lin Xian again, a cold look appeared on his face. However, in front of so many people, he couldn't say anything. After all, Lin Xian was a guest. They were the hosts, and they had to take care of their reputation. Otherwise, Crimson Crescent City would become a laughingstock. Brother, this brat is too hateful. Hurry up and throw him out. Shut up. Don't be rude. Brother Lin is our guest. What have I taught you? Morong Qingshu said coldly. But Morong Qian wanted to say something, but when that icy glare swept towards her, she was so frightened that she no longer dared to speak. Brother Lin, I think this is a misunderstanding. Qianer isn't very sensible. If she has offended Brother Lin in any way, please forgive her. It's fine. As an older brother, I won't lower myself to my younger sister's level. Lin Xian waved his hand in a magnanimous manner. Hearing this, Morong Qian's vision turned black and she nearly fainted. Morong Qingshu's lips twitched, but he did not say anything in the end. However, when he looked at Lin Xian, there was an almost undetectable iciness in his eyes. All right, everyone, stop looking. This is a misunderstanding. Morong Qingshu turned around and spoke to the crowd. Everyone, it's still early for the birthday banquet. Why don't we take a stroll around Crimson Crescent City? I don't dare to speak about other places, but there are quite a few good places in Crimson Crescent City. Brother Qingshu, I heard that there is a very famous place in Crimson Crescent City called the Tiger Garden. I heard that there are hundreds of demonic tigers there, and many of them have reached the level of demon general. I wonder if you can bring us to take a look? A warrior asked. Yeah, I've heard about it too. Many people echoed. Since everyone is interested, I'll bring everyone to take a look. Morong Qingshu laughed loudly. Then his body swayed and he flew towards the sky. The crowd was excited and quickly followed Morong Qingshu. Tiger Garden? Lin Xian's eyes flashed with curiosity. Then his body swayed, and he soared into the sky with the dark red divine dragon as he followed behind. It had to be said that Crimson Crescent City was very big. The central area was filled with palaces and pavilions while the surroundings were mountains, lakes, waterfalls, and forests. It was like a primitive garden. The Tiger Garden was in the mountains at the periphery. From afar, before they could get close, they could hear tiger roars coming from the forest below. Some of the roars were abnormally terrifying. There was a strong demonic aura. When Lin Xian heard the roars, he was slightly moved because he could clearly feel that the roars contained a terrifying power. The dark red divine dragon had a look of disdain. Although the tiger roars below were powerful, how could they be compared to the dark red divine dragon? If it wasn't for Lin Xian stopping it, the dark red divine dragon would have roared over. Lin Xian followed the large group in front and landed on a mountain top. Morong Qingshu said that the mountain in front was the so-called Tiger Garden. However, there were no special boundaries, and everyone could visit it as they wished. However, they had to take note of the 3 red mountain peaks behind them. It was better for everyone not to go near them, because there were 3 extremely terrifying demonic tigers, imprisoned in the 3 mountain peaks. They were even more powerful and violent. Therefore, for safety reasons, it was better for everyone not to go there. Chapter 10:16. Sure enough, there were 3 red mountains in the distance. Although everyone was curious, they did not go because of Morong Qingshu's reminder. Following that, everyone split into groups of 3 to 5, and quickly flew in all directions. Lin Xian also flew to a mountain with the dark red dragon. Sure enough, he saw a fierce tiger in the forest. It was a black-striped demon tiger, more than 10 meters long. It was very ferocious and had a monstrous demonic aura. This demon tiger had reached the level of a demon general. It was awe-inspiring and roared in all directions. Suddenly, it caught a glimpse of Lin Xian's figure and roared, its eyes filled with ferocity. "Little black, go bite him to death." Suddenly, a cold voice rang out. The black tiger roared and turned into a black light that pounced. Seeing this, Lin Xian did not panic. Instead, a disdainful smile appeared on his face. Although this demon tiger was strong, it was nothing compared to him. Before he even made a move, the dark red dragon beside him suddenly opened its mouth and roared. The voice was not loud, and was even a little low. However, it carried the majesty of a king, and directly intimidated the black-striped demon tiger. The black tiger's eyes were filled with fear. Its body trembled slightly, and it retreated uneasily. It did not expect that the snake-like animal in front of it could make such a sound. Just as it was about to flee, Lin Xian stretched out his hand, forming a huge palm of light and grabbing at it. "Dragon, catch your hand." The huge light shield whistled with terrifying momentum, and caught the black tiger in an instant. Then it brought it closer to Lin Xian. Dragon Catcher Hand was considered a unique skill. It was said that if one mastered it, one could kill a dragon, let alone a demon tiger. Lin Xian retracted his hand and placed the black demon tiger beside him. Immediately, the demon tiger trembled and crawled on the ground, not daring to move. The originally ferocious demon tiger was now as docile as a kitten. Lin Xian squatted down and gently stroked the demon tiger's fur. Then he said indifferently, "What? Was the lesson not enough? Now you want to die?" Lin Xian did not raise his head, but his voice was clearly transmitted to the front. The void in front of him rippled as Morong Qian walked over with a vicious look on her face. "Brat, no one has ever been able to berate me, much less make me look bad in front of everyone. You are the first, so you must die." She stared at Lin Xian with murderous intent in her eyes. "You?" Lin Xian shook his head in disdain. "Morong Qian may be quite powerful, but she was no match for him. I know that you are very strong, and can even fight against Lu Lai. However, don't be too arrogant. Don't forget that this is Crimson Crescent City." Her voice was extremely cold. Then, she flipped her wrist and took out a golden scroll. With a wave of her jade-like hand, the scroll opened abruptly, releasing a white light that instantly enveloped Lin Xian and the red mystical dragon. Upon seeing the white light, Lin Xian's face sank. He was about to summon the Red Lotus battle armor to defend himself. Just then, the red mystical dragon quickly said, "This white light isn't an attack. It seems to have the effect of teleportation." Hearing this, Lin Xian relaxed. However, he still raised the Red Lotus battle armor. Whoosh! The white light enveloped them. Then Lin Xian and the red mystical dragon's figures disappeared. Morong Qian's figure flashed and disappeared on the spot as well. In this mountain forest, only the demon tiger was left trembling on the ground. When Lin Xian reappeared, he realized that he had arrived at an unfamiliar place. This place was definitely not the same forest as before. It was obvious that the white light had teleported them away. However, the teleportation time this time was very short, so Lin Xian guessed that they should still be in Crimson Crescent City. Then, he scanned his surroundings and realized that they were also surrounded by mountain peaks. However, they had all turned crimson red, and there was even a boiling temperature. "There's no need to look around. We're still in Crimson Crescent City." Morong Qian's figure appeared in front of him with a cold smile on her lips. "To be exact, we're still in Tiger Garden." "Why? Do you think that you can succeed just because we were teleported here?" Lin Xian sneered. "Don't be so smug. You'll find out soon enough," Morong Qian said coldly. Then, she interlocked her fingers and placed them by her mouth. She gently blew a whistle. Bang bang. The ground trembled as if a huge creature was approaching. Along with it was a terrifying demonic aura. The demonic aura was too terrifying. It condensed into a demonic cloud and surged rapidly. Finally, a light flashed and a crimson figure appeared next to Morong Qian. Lin Xian looked up and frowned. The crimson figure was a tiger demon. However, it was different from the demon beasts he had seen before. This one was shaped like a human and could not walk. However, it had the head of a tiger, and its limbs were extremely thick. Its huge palms were covered with terrifying sharp claws. It looked half human and half demon, and was extremely strange. Demon Clan. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. Interesting. No wonder you're so arrogant. There's a tiger demon here. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. This is a real demon clan. Furthermore, it's the most dangerous place in Tiger Garden, because the tiger demons here are extremely powerful. They're 4-star demon generals, and are extremely powerful. Furthermore, as a demon clan member, they were extremely strong and ferocious. They were far stronger than Fourth Heaven supremacies of the same rank. Brat, how dare you provoke me? You're dead meat. Morongqian smiled coldly. Is that so? Is this your trump card? No wonder you're so arrogant and dare to lure me here. However, it's useless against me. Lin Xian shook his head. Stop bragging. You'll know how powerful it is soon. Although I can't kill you, I have hundreds of ways to torture you. I'll let you know the consequences of offending me. Of course, if you're willing to kneel down and admit your mistakes, and obediently give me the Lone Star Sword as a gift, it'll be gentler when I attack you later. Morongqian lifted her chin and looked down at Lin Xian. You're really confident. Do you think that a tiger demon can subdue me? Lin Xian shook his head gently. I think you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Morongqian scoffed coldly. Red tiger demon, capture this brat. I'm going to torture him properly. Buzz! The red tiger demon nodded. He then stomped his foot and charged towards Suemo like a shooting star. The huge impact tore through the void and crushed the ground as it charged towards Lin Xian. You're indeed a demon clan member. You're indeed terrifying. Lin Xian sighed softly. This power alone was no weaker than Lu Lai's. With a tap of his foot, he retreated like a flickering light and passing shadow. At the same time, his voice floated out. Aren't you afraid that Morong Qingqing will find out that you're trying to kill me? Don't worry, Sister Qingqing won't find out. She doesn't have the time to care about you now. Besides, only the two of us know about this. If I don't say anything, are you going to tell anyone? I don't think that you'll tell anyone about your miserable experience, because you can't afford to lose face. Chapter 10:17. Is that so? In other words, this attack was your own idea and no one knows about it. Lin Xian smiled. So what if it is? I alone am enough to deal with you. The corners of Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold smile. Originally, he had some misgivings and thought that this operation had been ordered by Morong Qingshu. However, it now seemed that Morong Qingshu did not know about it at all. This was completely Morong Qian's idea. Since that was the case, it would be easy to handle. In other words, only the two of them knew about what had happened here today. Thus, Lin Xian no longer had any misgivings. Buzz! The void trembled and suddenly, a terrifying scarlet beast's claw slammed down. The beast's claw was extremely terrifying, and it carried a sharp, cold light as it tore through the void. Bang! Lin Xian quickly dodged as the huge tiger claw created a bottomless black hole in the ground. I thought you were some great genius. Turns out you're just a coward who only knows how to run. Morong Qian snorted coldly. Let's see how many times you can run. Who break his legs. Lin Xian's body flashed, and he appeared on the side. His gaze gradually turned sharp as he whispered to the dark red divine dragon. Ruffian Long, set up a formation and seal off all images and sounds. Don't let this leak out. Although this was Morong Qian's idea and no one else knew about it, this was Crimson Crescent City, and there were many cultivators watching Tiger Garden nearby. If there was too much of a commotion, it would be hard to avoid being discovered by others. If they were discovered, Lin Xian would not be able to do anything. Therefore, in order to prevent this from happening, it was better for Ruffian Long to set up a formation. Don't worry, kid. Leave it to me, the dark red divine dragon said excitedly. It quickly waved its dragon claw and carved out runes to seal off the entire mountain range. It was also extremely angry. That detestable girl was simply too infuriating. She actually wanted to kill them in this place, where there was no one else. Since that was the case, it would seal off this place, and see who would kill who. Lin Xian sent a message to the dark red divine dragon, and asked it to seal off the entire mountain range. The dark red divine dragon waved its claws, and inscriptions quickly appeared. They flew out from the dragon claws, and quickly covered the entire mountain range. Soon an inscription array was formed. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the formation of the illusion array. He was facing the 4 demon generals, whose strength could not be underestimated. If he wanted to take them down, he would have to use some of his true abilities. If that was the case, it would definitely cause a huge battle phenomenon. If it wasn't for the illusion array, they would have been discovered very quickly. But now he had nothing to worry about. Morong Qian laughed icily when she saw that the dark red divine dragon had sealed off the entire mountain. I was initially worried that the crimson tiger would cause too much of a commotion and attract the attention of others. But I didn't expect that you, an idiot, would take the initiative to seal off the mountain peak, which just happened to solve my worries. Now, let's see where you can run to. When Morong Qian saw that Lin Xian had taken the initiative to seal the mountain, she was overjoyed instead of shocked. That was because she had great confidence in the crimson tiger. In her opinion, Lin Xian was definitely not a match for the crimson tiger. The crimson tiger also roared. Its huge tiger claws were like demonic mountains, releasing endless demonic aura. They intertwined into a huge beast's claw in the air, and slammed down quickly. The beast's claw emitted light, as if it was cast from steel. It carried a terrifying aura, and easily tore the void apart. Lin Xian used the dragon-capturing hand to fight against it. The two collided, creating a whistling sound in the void. Morong Qian sneered at the back. You're just a little disciple of the immortal martial academy. If you don't have Morong Qingqing backing you up, you're nothing. And you actually dared to berate me in front of everyone, and even dared to order me around. Today I'll let you know the consequences of provoking me. Morong Qian's voice was icy cold. She kept urging the crimson tiger to capture Lin Xian. At the same time, she reminded loudly, be careful of his Lone Star sword. That half-earth ranked treasure is very powerful. Don't let him draw it. That's right, you must snatch that sword. I want to give it to the old ancestor as a gift. The dark red dragon snorted coldly. What a vicious little girl. You're the one who wants to snatch the treasure, yet you're making it sound so dignified. Is your face made of city walls? How can you be so shameless? Ah, you're pissing me off. Crimson Tiger, capture this brat later. Then capture that snake for me. I want to skin it and eat its gallbladder. Morong Qian stomped her feet in anger. She was actually being looked down upon. Moreover, the other party was an ugly snake. She couldn't stand it. You're indeed vicious. Little girl, with your black heart. You definitely won't be able to get married in this lifetime. You deserve to be an old virgin forever. The dark red dragon's cold words made Morong Qian stomp her feet in anger. While the two were bickering, Lin Xian and the tiger demon had already exchanged dozens of blows. The two of them fought until the sky and earth turned dark. Sand and pebbles flew everywhere, and terrifying cracks appeared on the ground. There were even deep pits in between. The surrounding mountain range was also in ruins. Countless large rocks rolled down and created a rumbling sound. It was a good thing that the illusion had concealed everything. Otherwise, the commotion would have alerted the others. After another collision, Lin Xian's figure fluttered. He then flipped his hand and was about to draw the Lone Star sword from his back. When she saw this, Morong Qian quickly cried out, "Stop him quick. Don't let him draw the Lone Star sword." The Lone Star sword was a half-earth ranked treasure, and its power was incomparably powerful. Once Lin Xian uses it, his battle power would increase by a large margin. Therefore, no matter what, Morong Qian would not allow Lin Xian to draw it. At that moment, the large tiger demon spoke in human language. "Don't worry, Lady Qian. Even if that kid uses the Lone Star sword, he still won't be able to do anything to me." When he heard this, Lin Xian was stunned. It seems that this tiger demon was more powerful than he had imagined. It could actually speak in human language. This was indeed beyond his expectations. However, when he heard the tiger demon's words, he sneered. You're not afraid of the Lone Star Sword? What arrogance! Today I want use the Lone Star Sword. I'll take you down with my bare hands. You're courting death. When he heard Lin Xian's words, the Crimson Tiger roared angrily. His voice turned into a wave that rolled out and shook all directions. As a 4-star demon, he was extremely powerful and far surpassed human cultivators of the same level. Now, a puny human youth had actually dared to spout such arrogant words. This was simply unforgivable. Then, he let out a ferocious roar and spat out a crimson cloud that drifted into the air. The cloud rolled quickly and released a blinding light. It then continued to roll. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of metal clanging was heard, and the crimson cloud turned into a large crimson blade. The large crimson blade danced in the air, leaving behind a series of blade shadows. It was incomparably swift and fierce. Brat, become a ghost under my blade. The Crimson Tiger waved his large crimson blade and quickly attacked. Dragon Catcher Hand. Vermilion Bird Seal. Chapter 10:18. Dragon Catching Hands. Vermilion Bird Seal. Lin Xian roared and used dragon catching hands with his right hand. Spiritual energy surged and formed 2 true dragon shadows that surged forward. He formed a seal with his left hand as well. A red light shone, and a vermilion bird was born. Using both hands, Lin Xian unleashed 2 unique skills at the same time. In an instant, Lin Xian was extremely powerful. On the other hand, Red Tiger let out a ferocious roar. Demonic aura surged from his body, and the red saber in his hand swept in all directions. Bam! Boom! Terrifying energy exploded and surged in all directions. Red Tiger kept retreating with shock in his eyes. He did not expect the human to be so powerful. Lin Xian was equally shocked. He was indeed from the demon clan. He was indeed powerful. At the same time, he was a little worried. After all, this was Red Crescent City. The longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. I wanted to play with you. Looks like it's over. Let's end this. Lin Xian's voice was cold. He quickly took out the red lotus boxing glove and put it on his left hand. Then he threw out a punch. Bright red light shone, and a terrifying palm shadow was thrown out. It opened up in the air and formed a huge hand that covered the sky. In an instant, the light palm was above Red Tiger and slammed down quickly. Red Tiger tried his best to resist, but he could not. He was slammed to the ground by the force. Suddenly, the ground cracked and a human-shaped pit appeared. Red Tiger roared to the sky and tried to break free. However, the bright red light palm was like a cage. It floated above him and turned into a 5-fingered mountain that pressed down on Red Tiger. On the mountain peak, a red lotus swayed continuously. Roar! Damn human! Despicable! Let me out! Red Tiger was pressed to the ground and struggled. However, he could not break free. The red lotus light palm was too terrifying. It was definitely not something he could resist. Io, you're about to die, and you still dare to be so arrogant. Dark Red Dragon God walked forward and sneered. He kicked the huge body of Red Tiger a few times. Damn worm! When I get out, I'll tear you apart. Red Tiger roared angrily. You're the worm. Your whole family are worms. Dark Red Dragon God stomped his feet in anger. Stomp, 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 stomp. He frantically swung his leg and kicked Red Tiger's face nonstop. What? Impossible. On the other side, Morong Qian was also stunned. She never imagined that Lin Xian would actually be able to defeat Qi Hu, and in such a swift manner. This had completely exceeded her understanding. One had to know that Qi Hu was a 4-star fiend general, and the fiend clan's strength was incomparably powerful. Even if Lu Lai and the others were here, they probably wouldn't be able to take him down. But now Lin Xian could easily take down Crimson Tiger. It was simply too inconceivable. In the next moment, Morong Qian's expression changed drastically, and she quickly fled into the distance. The reason she dared to capture Lin Xian was because of the Crimson Tiger demon. But now, the Crimson Tiger demon had been subdued by him. Now, she was the only one left. With her strength, she was no match for Lin Xian. Hence, Morong Qian did not have the courage to stay here. Morong Qian's body swayed as she mustered all of her strength and flew into the distance like a beam of light. Trying to leave? Lin Xian sneered and waved his dragon-capturing hand. Two gigantic palms of light spiraled like two true dragons and charged forward quickly. The terrifying palms whistled, blotting out the sky and enveloping Morong Qian in an instant. You dare to touch me? You're dead meat. I'm from Crimson Crescent City. I'm from the Morong clan. Morong Qian was so frightened that her face turned pale as she screamed crazily. Why? Are you afraid now? Didn't you say that you would torture me to death when you were so arrogant before? Lin Xian snorted coldly. I thought you had some backbone, but I didn't expect you to be so cowardly. His expression was cold as he waved his arm. Two true dragons quickly bound Morong Qian and pulled her back to his side. Kid, you dare to touch me? You're dead meat. Crimson Crescent City won't let you off, and neither will the Morong clan. Won't let me off? You think too highly of yourself. If the one I beat up today was Morong Qingshu, there might be some trouble. But you, to be honest, I'm here on behalf of the Immortal Martial Academy. I don't believe that Crimson Crescent City will go against the Immortal Martial Academy for a mere disciple. What? You're here on behalf of the Immortal Martial Academy? That's impossible. Weren't you brought here by Morong Qingqing? Morong Qian screamed. She was stunned and didn't dare to believe it. Being here on behalf of the Immortal Martial Academy and being brought here by Morong Qingqing were two completely different concepts. Previously, she thought that Lin Xian was only able to enter Crimson Crescent City because of his relationship with Morong Qingqing. Hence, she didn't put Lin Xian in her eyes. But now it seemed that she was completely wrong. If Lin Xian was really here on behalf of the Immortal Martial Academy, then his status would be completely different. At the very least, he wouldn't be any lower than a core disciple of a king clan like Shen Yulong. One must know that although the Immortal Martial Academy was just an academy, its status was absolutely extraordinary and wouldn't lose out to a king clan. At this moment, Morong Qian was finally afraid. Young Master Lin, I was wrong. I beg you, please let me go. Morong Qian pleaded with a face full of tears, looking delicate and pitiful. If it was an ordinary person who saw this scene, they might have been deceived by her. However, Lin Xian coldly snorted. He had previously experienced the heart of this venomous woman. Just because of a few words, this venomous woman wanted to torture him to death. If it wasn't for his strength, if it was someone else, they would have been tortured to a pulp. Ruffian Long, set up an illusion array and throw her in. Scare her, but don't kill her. Don't worry. Using an illusion array to scare people, I like it. Ruffian Long was very excited. He waved his dragon claws and quickly set up a small illusion array. Then Lin Xian sealed Morong Qian's spiritual energy and threw her into the illusion array. Soon Morong Qian's terrified screams came from the illusion array. Her voice was very miserable and would make anyone who heard it shiver. Lin Xian ignored Morong Qian and turned to look at the Scarlet Tiger, who was pinned under the Five-Finger Mountain. Despicable human, let me out and we'll fight to the death. I'll skin you alive. The Scarlet Tiger roared wildly, and his entire being emitted a terrifying murderous aura. You still dare to be stubborn. You're only a demonic beast, yet you dare to be so arrogant. Let me tell you, this is human territory. You still want to kill me? Can you do it? Lin Xian sneered and slapped the Scarlet Tiger on the ground. The slap landed heavily on the Scarlet Tiger's body and instantly smashed him into the ground. The ground cracked and countless cracks spread out in all directions like a python's web. Lin Xian had very precise control over his strength. Therefore, the slap had only injured the Scarlet Tiger and did not take his life. Ah, damned human, I'll kill you. The Scarlet Tiger spat out the human language as if he had gone mad. However, what awaited him was a terrifying palm shadow. Lin Xian continued to punch the Scarlet Tiger's body until he was smashed into the ground. Chapter 10:19. All the bones in Chi Hu's body were broken, and he fell into a deep pit. However, Lin Xian was slightly surprised. Chi Hu was indeed from the demon clan. He was indeed powerful. If a human supremacy had suffered such an attack, he would have died. However, Chi Hu was only severely injured, and his life was not in danger. After that, Lin Xian did not attack again. He could not really kill Chihu. After all, this was Crimson Crescent City's territory. Kid, what should we do? The dark red divine dragon asked. Bury him underground and seal him tightly. Don't let him out for the time being. Lin Xian replied. Bury him alive. Caw-caw. I like it. The crimson divine dragon was excited. It kept rubbing its hands and quickly formed a seal to seal the crimson tiger under the ground. After sealing Chihu, Lin Xian turned around and looked at the illusory formation in front of him. Alright, it's about time. Let her out. I think she won't dare to throw her weight around and bully others anymore. Lin Xian said. It's over so soon. I wanted to play a little longer. The dark red divine dragon curled his lips and dispelled the illusory formation reluctantly. Morongqian was then released. Her footsteps were trembling, and her hair was in a mess. Her face was unusually pale, and her body trembled with every step she took. Her eyes were filled with fear. At the same time she kept screaming, Don't kill me, don't kill me. I won't do it again. It seemed that Morongqian was still under the shadow of the illusory formation, and had yet to awaken. Seeing this, Lin Xian scoffed coldly. With a wave of his hand, a blue frost flew out. Frost and cold air gushed out and covered Morongqian. The terrifying power of ice pierced her bones and woke her up immediately. Ah! Morongqian screamed and returned to normal. However, her body still trembled when she recalled her experience. When she saw Lin Xian in front of her, she lowered her head deeply. Don't be so arrogant in the future. Otherwise, you'll end up in a worse state than today. Lin Xian calmly said. Morongqian did not say anything and lowered her head even more. However, after today's experience, she would not dare to bully others so casually. Alright, remove the formation. It's time for us to leave. Brat, you're letting her go just like that? Aren't you afraid that she'll seek revenge? That Morong Qingshu is nearby. If this little girl were to speak about what happened just now, I'm afraid the people of the Morong family would immediately take action. Don't worry. With her personality, she definitely won't tell anyone about what happened just now. Otherwise, she won't be the only one losing face. So, for the sake of Crimson Crescent City and the Morong family's reputation, she will not tell anyone. Lin Xian said calmly. Clearly, he had thought about all these things beforehand. Then, the dark red divine dragon removed the sealing array. Let's go. While you're at it, introduce this tiger park to me. Lin Xian turned around and said to Morongqian. Morongqian's face turned pale. Her heart was filled with unwillingness, and she did not want to stay here any longer. However, she did not dare to disobey Lin Xian's orders. She had no choice but to agree. Morongqian led the way in front. She then led Lin Xian and Morongqian on a tour of Tiger Park. During this time, the dark red divine dragon kept nodding its head. It never thought that this little girl would be so timid and so easily frightened. She was initially arrogant and despotic like a femme fatale, but now, she looks like a well-behaved little wife. Brat, your methods aren't too bad. In the future, if you don't like anyone, you don't even need to attack them. Tie them up and throw them into the illusory array. Let them suffer for 3 days and 3 nights. I reckon that they'll be extremely obedient when they come out. As the two chatted and joked, Morongqian, who was leading the way, had a dark look on her face. She resisted the urge to break down and quickened her pace. Soon they ran into other people. As Tiger Park was very famous, many cultivators had gathered nearby to admire it. Isn't that Morongqian? Why is she with Lin Xian? Didn't the two of them get into a fight? That's right. Many people looked puzzled when they saw Lin Xian and Morongqian. This was far too suspicious. Not too long ago, Lin Xian and Morongqian had gotten into a verbal argument. Morongqian in particular had mocked and ridiculed Lin Xian. She had even clamored for Lin Xian to give the Lone Star Sword away as a gift. One could say that the conflict between the two was not small at all. However, at this moment, the two of them were walking together to admire Tiger Park. It seems that Morongqian was their guide. What on earth is going on here? How are the two of them on such good terms? Everyone was in a daze and their hearts were filled with guesses. Could it be that the two of them are having an affair, and that their previous conflict was merely a cover-up? I think so. Look at Morongqian. She's so well behaved like a little wife. They're clearly a couple. That's right, I didn't see them earlier. Could they have done that? Many people looked at each other and smiled as their eyes filled with vulgarity. The corners of Lin Xian's mouth twitched when he heard this. Morong Qian blushed and buried her head deep into her chest. The Crimson Divine Dragon, on the other hand, could not stop laughing maniacally. This group of people is just too adorable. Their imaginations sure are rich. However, if they were to find out the truth, their jaws would probably drop from shock. What nonsense are you spouting? How could Sister Qian'er have anything to do with that fellow? That's right, that kid is too hateful. He had the audacity to behave so atrociously in Crimson Crescent City. How could Sister Qian'er let him get away with it? A group of Crimson Crescent City's disciples refused to accept this and began to clamor. However, when they saw the unusually bashful Morong Qian next to Lin Xian, their eyes widened and their eyeballs nearly fell out of their sockets. I'm dreaming. I must be dreaming. Is this really Sister Qian'er? Why do I feel as if she's a completely different person? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. This kid must have used some trick. Many disciples refused to accept this and charged forward. Kid, tell us, what have you done to Sister Qian'er? Lin Xian was speechless. The Crimson Divine Dragon, on the other hand, leaped out and berated the group of Crimson Crescent City's disciples. You bunch of B***stards. What kind of filthy thoughts do you have in your heads? What could the two of them have done in broad daylight? Besides, even if there was something going on, it's between the two of them. What does it have to do with you? The Crimson Divine Dragon's words were becoming more and more ambiguous. Many people's expressions turned extremely interesting when they heard this. Morong Qian, on the other hand, had black lines running down her forehead. She was about to explode from anger. However, having learned her lesson, she did not dare to behave atrociously in front of Lin Xian. Otherwise, if she were to be secretly caught and thrown into an illusory array, she might as well die. Morong Qian took a deep breath and tried her best to calm her emotions. She then lifted her head and forced an ugly smile. You're overthinking things. There's nothing between me and Sir Lin. We had some misunderstandings previously, but we've cleared things up. After all, Sir Lin is our honored guest. What's wrong with me showing him around Tiger Park? Morong Qian became haughty once again as she spoke. No. Chapter 10:20. Disperse, I'll show Sir Lin around for a bit. We'll be back soon. Morong Qian replied coldly before she turned towards Lin Xian and whispered, Sir Lin, this way please. The crowd felt dizzy. Morong Qian's attitude towards Lin Xian was completely different from her attitude towards others. They would never believe that there was nothing fishy going on here. However, Morong Qian was a member of Crimson Moon City after all. Now that they were in Crimson Moon City, they did not dare to spread any rumors. The disciples of Crimson Moon City shook their heads. They were well aware of Morong Qian's fierce reputation, so they did not dare to say anything. Hence, the crowd dispersed and could only suppress their curiosity. Lin Xian then strolled through a few more mountains. This time, he and Morong Qian were not the only ones around. There were many cultivators nearby as well. Suddenly, the snow-white little fox gently tugged at Lin Xian's hair and began to make some noises. You're saying that someone is following us? Lin Xian frowned when he saw the snow-white little monkey's gestures. Can you find him? Lin Xian asked. Nope. The snow-white little monkey turned its head and scanned its surroundings with its large black jewel-like eyes. However, in the next moment, it used its snow-white little paws to scratch its head with a puzzled look on its face. Nope. The little white monkey began to gesture again. This time, Lin Xian was a little dazzled. Sigh, let me translate for you. The Crimson Divine Dragon, who was standing next to him, could not bear to watch any longer. Little Munchkin means that the person has disappeared, and it can't find him. Disappeared? Can't find him? Lin Xian's frown deepened. Nope. The snow-white little monkey nodded and began to gesture again. The Crimson Divine Dragon continued to explain. It says that the person often hides in the crowd and appears with different appearances. Every time, they are around 300 feet away. Hearing this, Lin Xian's expression turned exceptionally ugly, because even with his outstanding soul power, he actually couldn't detect the other party's abnormality. He didn't even feel any danger. This was a very bad sign for him. One must know that his soul power was extremely powerful. It was even comparable to a cultivator of the 5th or 6th layer of the exalted realm. Even so, he was still unable to sense that person. One could imagine how terrifying that person was. The dark red divine dragon also frowned. That person shouldn't be as powerful as you think. Otherwise, he could have just used his strength to crush you to death. I'm afraid he wouldn't have the confidence to take you down. However, his concealment skills are quite good. Even I didn't notice him for a while. Luckily, the little guy was able to discover the abnormality. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. 0, can you detect any abnormalities? Lin Xian had no choice but to ask the 10,000 beast cauldron in his body. There is indeed someone following you. It's a very ordinary man. So ordinary that you wouldn't notice him even if you saw him. That person should be a very professional killer. Fortunately, the little monkey beside you is very intelligent. It was actually able to discover the abnormality. 0's voice was cold. Can you help me point out who it is? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. The current situation was very unfavorable for him, because he had no idea where the danger was hiding. Not for now, because I've just woken up. I'm not as powerful as you think. However, when that person comes within 10 feet of you, I can help you call the police. 10 feet is enough. Although 10 feet was just a blink of an eye for people of their level, it was better than no warning at all. With 0's warning, Lin Xian was relieved. However, his face was still gloomy. Boy, from the looks of it, that person seems to be an assassin. Could it be related to those people who tried to assassinate you before? The dark red divine dragon said. It's possible. Lin Xian frowned. Indeed, not long ago he was besieged by 2 assassins. Moreover, the 2 assassins' concealment skills were extremely powerful. Even he was almost hit at that time. Now there was an even more powerful assassin following them. He couldn't help but connect the 2 together. Who was it that was trying so hard to kill him? Moreover, what made him even more shocked was that this assassin had followed them all the way to Crimson Moon City. If he was assassinated here, it would definitely be a shocking matter. This time, he represented the Immortal Martial Academy. If he were to die in the Morong family, it would probably cause a huge commotion in the Immortal Martial Academy. You'd better not let me catch you. Lin Xian's expression was cold. Let's go. Let's leave this place. Lin Xian took a deep breath and said to Morong Qian in front of him. All right. Morong Qian heaved a sigh of relief when she saw this. Following Lin Xian was indeed too stressful for her. Let's go to the Crimson Moon Palace. The birthday banquet should be starting soon. Morong Qian thought for a moment and said, All right, you lead the way. Lin Xian nodded. There would definitely be a large number of cultivators and elders in the Crimson Moon Palace. The assassin would probably not dare to make a move in that place. It goes without saying that this elder of the Morong family was very powerful. Countless powerful cultivators had come to participate in this birthday banquet. Lin Xian saw many 5th heaven and even 6th heaven honorable realm cultivators. These people's auras were too powerful. The blood and qi in their bodies were like furnaces of the heavens and earth, emitting a powerful vitality. Every move they made carried a terrifying aura. Clearly, these people should be elders from some powerful forces. Even Shin Yulong Lu Lai and the others had to greet them respectfully. One could imagine how terrifying these cultivators were. These cultivators were all invited to the Great Hall and were seated at the top. Shen Yulong, Lu Lai, and the rest of the younger generation could only sit far away. The entire Great Hall was grand and bustling with noise and excitement. When the crowd saw Lin Xian and Morong Qian who was leading the way, they were stunned for a moment. This was because Morong Qian was wearing the uniform of an elite disciple of Crimson Moon City, and not an ordinary disciple. It was impossible for someone like her to be a guide. Now, Morong Qian was leading the way for a young man, and her attitude was very respectful as well. This made many people extremely puzzled. When Lu Lai, Shin Yulong, and the others saw this, their faces were filled with surprise. Morong Qingshi's face sank. Previously, he had heard his subordinates report this matter. Initially, he had thought that it was just a rumor. Now it seemed that it was an exceptionally ugly sight. Morong Qian could no longer hold herself back when she saw so many eyes on her. She no longer paid any attention to Lin Xian, and quickly walked forward to stand next to Morong Qingshu. "Hey, you're here." Just then a mellow voice rang out. Soon after, a peerlessly beautiful figure walked over from afar, and quickly arrived next to Lin Xian. Everyone was stunned when they saw this figure. They stared fixedly at her, and even their breathing quickened. Chapter 1021. You weren't here just now, so I took a stroll around the tiger garden. Lin Xian replied with a smile. You must be tired. Go rest over there. Morong Qingqing was like an obedient little wife, as she pulled Lin Xian to the seat beside her. This scene broke the hearts of countless young geniuses as they screamed in agony. For a moment, everyone's gaze towards Lin Xian was filled with hostility. Shen Yulong Lu Lai, and the others' gazes turned even colder. There was even a trace of killing intent. They felt that Lin Xian was too childish. Like them weren't able to gain the favor of medicinal pill that he refined himself as a disciple of the immortal martial academy. I knew that this brat didn't have to gain the favor of their goddess. I originally thought that he would only take out some ordinary gifts. On the side of Crimson Crescent his gift would be so strange. Everyone had a strange expression on their faces. I'm dying of laughter. Especially Morong Qingshu. The corner of his mouth was twitching. Treasure, although he knew that Lin Xian was brought here by Morong Qingshu. He actually gave away such a trashy medicinal pill. The two of them to have such a good relationship. Does he really think that our Crimson Lunar City under the envious gazes of the crowd? The Crimson Lunar City's disciples were all incomparably angry. Peacefully, they looked at the crowd with unfriendly expressions. Next, everyone took out the gifts they had prepared and presented them to Lin Xian, ridiculing him for. At this moment, could it be that he said something towards Lin Xian that he refined himself? They wanted to see what kind of gift Lin Xian could really strange, because the conflict between Lin Xian and Morong Qian was because of the gift in his hands. Although I didn't expect Brother Lin to also be an alchemist, what Lin Xian was going to take out. This gift is really surprising. Among them, you have to know that as a sixth-grade alchemist, Shen family, I don't even dare to give away medicinal pills that I refined myself with a cold smile. Brother Lin's courage is really admirable. What kind of gift this voice had a hint of sarcasm could take out. Oh, you're under the attentive gazes of the crowd. This time, Lin Xian's turn to be surprised and took out a black box. He didn't expect that this youth was also an alchemist. It was very simple and unadorned at that, to the point that it was abnormal. To be able to become a sixth-grade alchemist at such a young age or dazzling lights. His talent was definitely valiant. It was just the most ordinary as expected of a king clan. Seeing this scene, everyone was such a genius alchemist. They didn't expect Lin Xian to take out something like this. Made him very unhappy. What is that? Lin Xian also understood why everyone laughed at him. Look at his calm face when he took out the wooden box. Could there be some treasure in the box? It turned out that these people definitely didn't think that the medicinal treasure in this wooden box was anything good. Someone sneered disdainfully. That was why they had such an expression. The son of the Lu family mocked him even more. Lin Xian's mouth had a trace of a cold smile. No matter how poor you are, they really were a group of frogs at the bottom of a well. Are you here to cause trouble? Anything. Just because he couldn't refine high-grade medicinal pills, everyone was envious, that others couldn't refine them as well. Therefore, they seized this opportunity to ridicule Lin Xian. Stared at the feminine-looking youth you are? And said with a smile, "You're just a little disciple of the immortal martial academy. I didn't expect brother to also be a sixth-grade alchemist. You're able to gain the favor of the heaven's chosen goddess. A sixth-grade alchemist status isn't low. Brother's talent is really good. Your true ugly face. It's really enviable." This was what all the young warriors were thinking. The feminine-looking youth smiled proudly. The Shen family's disciple also said. The surrounding people were in an expression. They didn't expect Lin Xian to say such a thing. The Crimson Crescent City's disciples all had gloomy expressions. It's just a medicinal pill that I refined myself. Alchemy skills, Lin Xian said indifferently. That of a sixth-grade alchemist. Pill that you refined yourself. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said such a thing. The crowd was stunned. A mere alchemist. They didn't expect that Lin Xian own trash medicinal knew how to refine medicinal pills. He didn't put them in his eyes at all. The crowd revealed looks of disdain, because in their eyes, Lin Xian was so young. So what if he knew how to refine medicinal pills? His standard was definitely not high. At most, he would be a fifth-grade alchemist. What kind of medicinal pill could a fifth-grade alchemist refine? At most, it would be a fifth-grade medicinal pill. Even better ones would be fifth-grade medicinal pills. This kind of medicinal pill, he actually had the nerve to take it out as a birthday gift? What a joke! Thinking of this, several cultivators sneered. Damn it, this guy is too despicable. He actually dares to look down on our Crimson Crescent City. This guy is purely here to cause trouble. I suggest we throw him out. Humph. Even if he has Big Sister King Chang's support, he can't be so arrogant. Does he really think that there's no one in our Crimson Crescent City? A group of Crimson Crescent City's disciples were very angry. Morong Qingqing also looked over curiously. Although she knew that Lin Xian's alchemy skills weren't weak, she was still a little worried at this moment. Don't worry, there won't be a problem. Lin Xian gave her a comforting look. Then, a playful smile appeared on his face. Seeing this smile, Morong Qingqing was relieved. Because she knew that whenever Lin Xian had this kind of smile, it meant that he was very confident in this matter. Chapter 1022. The gloomy young man raised his chin and said to Lin Xian, "You don't have to be envious of me. Some talents are innate. It's useless even if you're envious. However, if you're sincere, I can give you some pointers on alchemy. It's a great honor to be taught by me. It'll save you a few years of detours." The gloomy young man said in the tone of an elder. Pft. Hearing this, the dark red divine dragon almost spat out the wine in his mouth. He looked at the gloomy young man with a strange expression. Teach Lin Xian? Lin Xian's alchemy skills were better than some old monsters. He even had the inheritance of King Danyu. Why would he need others to teach him? However, the dark red divine dragon held back his laughter. In his heart, he was laughing maniacally. This kid is too arrogant and overestimating himself. He actually dares to teach Lin Xian alchemy? If he knows that this wooden box contains a 7th grade pill, I wonder what kind of expression he'll have. The dark red divine dragon was looking forward to it. Lin Xian smiled and said, "Brother, you're really generous. I didn't expect the Shen family to have such a generous and selfless pill. How rare." Lin Xian's words made the gloomy young man even more proud. He said arrogantly, "Seeing how sincere you are, I can give you some pointers. Open your wooden box, and let me see how good your pill is. I'll also know where your flaws are." "Forget about that." Lin Xian shook his head slightly. "This thing is for Senior Murong. It's not good to open it now." Pft. Hearing this, countless people spat out the wine in their mouths and looked at Lin Xian strangely. What was this guy thinking? He still dared to give away his pill as a gift. Wasn't he afraid of being beaten to death by the people of Crimson Crescent City? The disciples of Crimson Crescent City clenched their fists and looked at Lin Xian angrily. They wanted nothing more than to rush up and beat this detestable kid up. The gloomy young man from the Chen family was also stunned. He never thought that Lin Xian would actually dare to say such a thing. Could it be that there was something wrong with his head? Thinking of this, the smile on his lips became even more disdainful. Brother Lin, I advise you to open it now, and let me give you some pointers, so that you can understand your true level. Otherwise, if this pill is given out, I'm afraid it will only become a laughingstock. That's right. Open it, and let me see what kind of top-grade pill you've refined. The surrounding cultivators also said while suppressing their laughter. Forget it. I gave this to Senior Murong. It's really not suitable to open it here. Lin Xian shook his head. Aya, since it's a gift, I'll know about it last night. Why don't I open it now and take a look? That's right. It's not like you'll lose anything just by looking at it. Let us take a look at your top-grade medicinal pill. The surrounding warriors laughed. The more Lin Xian refused to open it, the more they wanted to know what kind of medicinal pill was inside. In the end, the disciples of Crimson Lunar City couldn't stand it anymore. They coldly shouted, as people of Crimson Lunar City, it's not too much for us to take a look. What if there's something dangerous inside? How are we going to present it to the old lord? In the end, Murong Qingshu also said in a deep voice, Brother Lin, open it. Seeing so many people trying to persuade him, Lin Xian scratched his head in embarrassment. I really don't want to open it. But since you've all said so, there's no other way. All right, I'll open it and let you take a look. Quickly open it. Don't dawdle. Hurry up and open it. The surrounding warriors urged. In their opinion, what was inside Lin Xian's box was definitely not something good. As for the Crimson Divine Dragon, it was forcefully suppressing its laughter as it grinned and laughed silently. This brat was too evil. There was clearly a 7th-grade medicinal pill inside, but he pretended to be embarrassed to open it, deceiving everyone around him. The Crimson Divine Dragon looked at the expressions of the surrounding people, who were waiting to see a good show. He wanted to see what kind of wonderful expressions these people would have when the wooden box was opened. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, Lin Xian slowly opened the wooden box. Damn, what's going on? There's nothing inside. Everyone stretched their necks to take a look. However, they discovered that the wooden box was flat, and there was no medicinal pill inside. Everyone was puzzled. Just as they were about to speak, Lin Xian said, Don't be anxious. There's still another layer of boxes. Pretentious, he must be pretentious. A lousy 5th-grade medicinal pill. And he actually used 2 boxes to store it. He was simply too pretentious. Let's see how the medicinal pill will come out, and well laugh you to death. Everyone ground their teeth in anger. As for the 6th-grade alchemist youth, his lips curled in disdain. Humph, he's just playing to the gallery. This was his evaluation of Lin Xian. However, soon, he frowned because a faint medicinal fragrance wafted out from the wooden box. This pill fragrance was very faint. Because Lin Xian had not opened the 2nd wooden box yet, no one had smelled it. However, as a 6th-grade pill inscription master, his strength was not to be underestimated, so he could clearly sense this pill fragrance. This medicinal fragrance is so strange. The gloomy youth frowned. This medicinal fragrance was not something a 5th-grade medicinal pill could emit. Could it be a 6th-grade medicinal pill? Thinking of this, he was shocked. Impossible. Could it be that he's also a 6th-grade alchemist? The gloomy youth was puzzled. One had to know that he was a 6th-grade alchemist. So he naturally knew how terrifying a 6th-grade alchemist was. Generally, 6th-grade alchemists were old monsters who were hundreds of years old. Very few young people could reach the level of a 6th-grade alchemist. For someone like him to reach the level of a 6th-grade alchemist at such a young age, he was considered a heaven-defying genius. One had to know that his status in the Shen family was not lower than a core disciple like Shen Yulong. In fact, his status was even higher. However, he discovered that there was a possibility that Lin Xian was also a 6th-grade alchemist. This made him feel disbelief, because to become a 6th-grade alchemist, one did not only need talent, but also the guidance of a master and a large amount of resources. Otherwise, It would be impossible to reach the level of a sixth-grade alchemist with just talent. He had received guidance from alchemy grandmasters since he was young, and his family had provided him with countless medicinal ingredients to refine pills. Under the nurturing of so many resources, he was able to become a sixth-grade alchemist at such a young age. However, Lin Xian was actually a sixth-grade alchemist from the Immortal Martial Academy? This was something he could not accept. Impossible, he definitely can't be a sixth-grade alchemist. It should only be because of the medicinal fragrance. Maybe it's a special fifth-grade medicinal pill. The gloomy youth consoled himself because he really did not believe that Lin Xian had such powerful strength and talent. Whether or not he's trying to mystify me, we'll know very soon. His eyes were ice-cold as he stared ahead, staring fixedly at Lin Xian's actions. The surrounding crowd also held their breaths as they stared at the wooden box in Lin Xian's hands. Because this time, Lin Xian was about to completely open the second wooden box. Looking at the gazes of the crowd, Lin Xian coldly laughed in his heart. This time, he did not delay, and quickly opened the second wooden box. Chapter 1023. An extremely unique pill fragrance wafted out, and instantly spread in all directions. This smell is so fragrant. Everyone was shocked when they smelled the pill fragrance. What kind of pill is this? It actually has such a fragrance. It can't be. Isn't it a fifth-grade pill? How can it be so fragrant? Yeah, this fragrance is too magical. Just smelling a trace of it caused the spirit energy in my body to surge endlessly. Everyone exclaimed because this fragrance was too special and far exceeded their expectations. Could it be that it's not a fifth-grade pill? Everyone looked at each other. They were puzzled because they all knew that it was a fifth-grade pill. It was impossible for it to emit such a fragrance. It can't be. Could it be a sixth-grade pill? Thinking of this, many people's hearts beat wildly. For a moment, everyone turned to look at the gloomy young man from the Shun family. That young man was a sixth-grade alchemist, so he should know the grade of this pill. The Crimson Crescent City's disciples were also shocked, especially Morong Qingshu. He frowned and said in a deep voice, "Brother Shen, you are a sixth-grade alchemy inscription master. Please appraise the grade of this pill." To be honest, he was also very puzzled. However, he did not believe that Lin Xian could refine a sixth-grade pill. The gloomy young man's eyelids twitched violently, and his face was filled with shock. He looked as if he had seen a ghost. His eyes widened as he pointed ahead and trembled. A seventh-grade pill. How is this possible? Finally, he could not help but scream out loud. What? A seventh-grade pill? Hearing the gloomy young man's voice, everyone was stunned. Is this true? That pill is actually a seventh-grade pill. Could there be a mistake? Impossible. He's a genius alchemist from the Shen family, and a sixth-grade alchemist at that. How could there be a mistake? I'm not dreaming, right? Lin Xian actually refined a seventh-grade pill. Could he be a seventh-grade alchemist? For a moment, everyone was discussing animatedly. The Lu family and the Shen family were dead silent. The disciples of the two families had ugly expressions as they looked ahead in disbelief. The disciples of Crimson Crescent City were even more stunned. Their minds were blank. They did not expect Lin Xian to give away a seventh-grade pill. After all, 7 bottles of pills were extremely precious. Even 5th or 6th heavenly layer exalted realm experts would be tempted. Moreover, that was just an ordinary 7th grade pill. If the pill in Lin Xian's hand had any special effects, it would definitely make countless powerhouses jealous. This gift was indeed precious. On the other hand, the dark red divine dragon laughed maniacally as tears flowed out of his eyes. This was because the expressions of the people around him were simply too interesting. These people wanted to watch a show and mock and despise Lin Xian. But they didn't expect that Lin Xian would directly take out a level 7 medicinal pill and knock them out. Now these people were all shocked, and their eyes were filled with terror and fear. It was a stark contrast to the disdainful and mocking expression from before. On the other hand, Lin Xian was all smiles as he said, "Hey, what's your name? Shen family's pill genius. Can you give me some pointers and see if there are any flaws in my pill? That way, I'll be able to save myself a few years of detours." Hearing this, everyone's lips twitched and they were speechless. Sarcasm, this was blatant sarcasm. You've already refined a 7th grade pill, and your strength is heaven-defying, while the other party is only a 6th grade alchemist. Now, you actually want him to give you pointers. Isn't this a pure slap in the face? When everyone saw Lin Xian smile, they all understood. This kid must be doing this on purpose. First, he pretended to be very weak and waited for the Shen family to jump out and clamor. Finally, he took out a powerful pill and ruthlessly slapped the Shen family's face. This was a conspiracy. For a moment, everyone looked at the area where the Shen family disciples were, their faces filled with sympathy. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the Shen family disciples' faces were all red, and they were so angry that their bodies trembled. This slap in the face was too loud, and it directly knocked them out. Even Shen Yulong's face darkened, and he wanted nothing more than to flick his sleeves and leave. The gloomy young man's expression was even uglier, and it was even somewhat sinister. Thinking back to how he acted high and mighty, and wanted to give Lin Xian pointers. Now that Lin Xian took out a 7th grade pill, he was directly stunned. Thinking back to what he said before, the gloomy young man was so regretful that his intestines turned green. He wanted nothing more than to find a hole to crawl into. A person who could refine a 7th grade pill needed his pointers? What a joke! One had to know that although the difference between the two was only 1 grade, the gap between the two was like heaven and earth. This huge contrast was unbearable for him. Seeing that the Shen family was dead silent and no one spoke, Lin Xian sneered in his heart. He picked up the wine cup on the table and slowly tasted it. Beside him, Morong Qingqing was also puzzled. "You this guy, when did you become able to refine 7th grade pills?" "I broke through recently. How is it? Surprised, right?" Lin Xian said with a smile. "It is indeed a surprise. Originally, I had some spirit herbs and didn't know what to do with them. Now you can refine them all into 7th grade pills." Morong Qingqing covered her mouth and chuckled. "From now on, you will be my professional alchemist." Lin Xian touched his nose helplessly. "No problem. How can I not agree to a beautiful girl's request?" Seeing the two of them chatting and laughing, the crowd was envious. Then, they looked at the Shen family again, and sighed while shaking their heads. Even the disciples of the Lu family in Crimson Crescent City were gloating. At this moment, the gloomy young man from the Shen family suddenly roared. "Impossible, this is impossible. I don't believe it. I want to test the pills." With a crazed expression, he quickly walked towards Lin Xian. His large hands were as fast as lightning, and quickly grabbed the wooden box on the table. "Humph." Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, he kept the bottles of pills. "Kid, I want to test the pills. Why are you stopping me? Do you have a guilty conscience?" The gloomy young man shouted coldly. Now he had to find out whether these pills were 7th grade pills or not. Otherwise, it would become his inner demon. Lin Xian sneered. "Do you think I'll test the pills just because you say so? Who do you think you are? Why should I listen to you? This isn't your Shen family. What if you use the excuse of testing the pills and secretly eat them? Wouldn't that be a huge loss for me?" Hearing this, the crowd vomited blood. No matter what, he was still a genius alchemist of the Shen family. How could he secretly take the pills in front of everyone? It was obvious that Lin Xian was looking down on him. The gloomy young man's face darkened. He was so angry that his body trembled. Kid, don't you dare slander me. I won't do such a thing. However, I must test the pills. He was going crazy. If he couldn't find out the truth of these pills, he was afraid that he would be traumatized when refining pills in the future. If that was really the case, his alchemy path would be ruined. Lin Xian didn't care if the other party was traumatized or not. Previously, the other party had mercilessly suppressed him and made him unhappy. Now why would he care about these people? Both parties were in a deadlock and were about to fight. At this moment, a few elders from Crimson Crescent City rushed over. They had received a report from a disciple and hurried over to stop the fight. After all, this was their Crimson Crescent City's birthday banquet. If a fight broke out, they would be the ones to lose face. Chapter 1024. The two of you please calm down. Why don't I appraise it? At this moment a white-haired old man walked out. Seeing this old man, the disciples of Crimson Crescent City bowed. This old man was an alchemy master of Crimson Crescent City, and was also a grade 6 alchemy master. When he heard that someone had taken out a grade 7 pill, he hurried over to take a look. Originally, Master Yin was doubtful and did not believe it. However, when he arrived at the scene and smelled the pill fragrance in the air, he became excited. With his strength and many years of experience, he was sure that this pill fragrance was not something that a grade 6 pill could emit. At this moment, he looked at Lin Xian with excitement in his eyes. Although he had his doubts about whether Lin Xian could refine a grade 7 elixir pill, he was certain that it was a grade 7 elixir pill. My friend, I am a grade 6 alchemy master of Crimson Crescent City. Can I take a look at the pill in your hand? Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded his head and handed over the wooden box in his hand. Master Yin took a deep breath and quickly took the wooden box and opened it. Then, his face was filled with shock as he stood rooted to the ground. There was no need to examine it. Just by looking at the pill markings and pill fragrance, he was sure that it was a grade 7 pill. Old Yin, how is it? Nearby, the other elders of Crimson Crescent City quickly asked. Grade 7 pill. It is definitely a grade 7 pill. Hearing this, the elders looked at each other in shock. The surrounding crowd sucked in a breath of cold air, as their faces were filled with shock. Previously they were still doubtful. However, now that Master Yin of Crimson Crescent City had spoken, they were sure that it was a grade 7 pill. Lin Xian had actually refined a grade 7 pill. This news was like a bolt of lightning that shocked them. Although they were not sure if this pill was personally refined by Lin Xian, they were sure of one thing. If this was true, Lin Xian would be a grade 7 alchemy master, and his status would reach a terrifying height. Thinking of this, the crowd's gaze towards Lin Xian changed. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian was just an ordinary person. They didn't expect that the other party was actually an alchemist. Moreover, his level was frighteningly high. I finally understand why he is able to walk together with Fairy Morong. That's right, a 7th-tier alchemist. Just thinking about it is terrifying. No wonder he could obtain the favor of Fairy Morong. Everyone sighed inwardly with deep envy. As for the gloomy youth from the Shen family, his face was filled with madness. Impossible, this can't be real. I must be dreaming. His expression was ferocious as he descended into madness. He did not expect that the pill in Lin Xian's hand was really a 7th-grade pill. This was unacceptable to him. As a genius alchemist, he had never placed anyone in his eyes. But now, there was actually someone who was even more talented than him, and had become a 7th-grade inscription master. This caused the self-confidence he had built up all this time to collapse in an instant. Little friend Lin, may I know the name of this 7th-grade medicinal pill, and what is its use? They were still unsure whether this 7th-grade medicinal pill was personally refined by Lin Xian, so they could only address him as little friend. Master Yin was also nervous. If Lin Xian was really a 7th-grade alchemist, then he could no longer address him as little friend. Instead, he would have to address him as master. This was the rule of this world. There was no seniority based on age. Everything was based on strength. If your strength was heaven-defying, even if you were only 1 year old, everyone would address you as a senior. If your aptitude was mediocre and did not have any abilities, even if you lived for a few hundred years, no one would place you in their eyes. Lin Xian did not care about these details. He slowly said, "This medicinal pill is called the Purple Spirit Pill. It is not a normal medicinal pill that can increase one's cultivation. Instead, it is a somewhat special medicinal pill." "Oh, somewhat special? How so?" Master Yin asked. Everyone pricked up their ears. "This medicinal pill can allow a person to enter a very special state. I call it the ethereal state. In this state, a cultivator's perception of their martial spirit and realm will be extremely sharp. In other words, a cultivator can use this ethereal state to perfect their martial spirit." "What? Perfect their martial spirit?" Hearing this, everyone was shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. Exalt realm cultivators mainly cultivated their martial souls, and this martial soul was very mysterious. It could only be improved and perfected when they advanced in the Exalt realm. Yet now a single medicinal pill could allow a cultivator to have the opportunity to perfect their martial souls. How long can this ethereal state last? Master Yan's voice was trembling at this moment. He really did not expect that the purple medicinal pill in front of him would have such a miraculous effect. "Not much. Only an incense stick's worth of time," Lin Xian said indifferently. "What? An incense stick's worth of time?" Hearing this, everyone was so shocked that their eyeballs almost popped out. An incense stick's worth of time was not considered much? Then how much time was considered much? Everyone's mouth twitched. One had to know that this was the ethereal state. It was something that could perfect one's martial spirit. Not to mention an incense stick's worth of time. Even 1 second was considered quite a lot. Master Yin and the other elders were also shocked. They never expected that this young man in front of them would take out such a precious item. Soon, the news spread everywhere, and even the important figures in the hall were alarmed. One had to know that although these big shots were strong, their martial spirits had flaws. It was just that it was not easy to detect. But now, there was a medicinal pill that could allow them to discover the flaws in their martial spirits and perfect their martial spirits. This was definitely a fatal temptation to them. This was because when one's martial spirit was perfect, one's cultivation strength would increase. The two of them influenced each other. Even Ancestor Chi was not spared. In the end, he and the other big shots walked out of the hall. "Greetings, Ancestor." Seeing Ancestor Chi walk out personally, the disciples of Red Moon City hurriedly knelt down. The surrounding cultivators also bowed down. Ancestor Chi and the rest did not care about these details. They quickly walked to Lin Xian's side. Among these people, an old man in a dark green robe walked out. He had a strong and obscure aura around him. He quickly took the purple spirit pill and carefully inspected it. Master Mo, what do you think? Just then, Elder Yin asked softly. Master Mo. Hearing this name, everyone was shocked. One had to know that Elder Yin was already a grade 6 pill inscription master. To be called a master by him, one could imagine how noble his status was. They guessed that this old man in a dark green robe was most likely a grade 7 pill inscription master. Thinking of this, everyone's expression was shocked. They looked at the dark green figure with deep respect. A grade 7 pill inscription master was definitely terrifying. He was an existence that all the big forces respected. Master Mo carefully inspected it for a moment before saying in a deep voice, "That's right. It does have such an effect." Chapter 1025. Even though they had lived for countless years, they still couldn't help but feel excited when they heard this. Master Mo, who was dressed in a dark green robe, looked at Lin Xian with shock in his heart. The youth in front of him was really too young. However, the latter's soul strength was abnormally strong, not much weaker than his own. This was the first time he had seen someone with such terrifying soul force at such a young age. Little friend Lin, do you still have this pill with you? Grandmaster Mo asked with hope. Lin Xian shook his head. This pill was concocted by chance. I only have this one. Hearing this, Master Mo sighed and handed the purple spirit pill to Ancestor Chiyu. Old friend, your luck is really good. Grandmaster Mo sighed. The other major characters also looked at Ancestor Chiyu with envy. Ancestor Chiyu took the pill and revealed a satisfied smile. Since that's the case, I won't be polite. Thank you for the pill. Senior is too polite. Lin Xian replied. Little friend Lin, why don't we come in and have a chat? I have some matters regarding alchemy that I wish to discuss with you. Grandmaster Mo smiled. The other major characters also threw out olive branches. There were even people who invited Lin Xian to be their guest alchemy elder. Seeing this scene, the surrounding cultivators were filled with envy. These were all major characters at the 5th or 6th heavenly layer of the Venerable Realm. Being on good terms with them would definitely bring endless benefits in the future. Lin Xian also smiled and replied, All right, I'm here as a representative of the Immortal Martial Academy. I have something to discuss with all of you. Oh, a representative of the Immortal Martial Academy? Ancestor Chiyu and the other major characters were stunned. Originally, they only thought that Lin Xian was an alchemy grandmaster. They didn't expect him to be here as a representative of the Immortal Martial Academy. If this was true, then his identity was completely different. The Immortal Martial Academy was an extremely powerful force, not losing out to the existence of the King clans. Putting aside his cultivation base, just his identity as a representative of the Immortal Martial Academy was enough to be on the same level as these major characters. One had to know that this identity was different from Shen Yulong, who was a core disciple of a king clan. The latter was only participating in the competition as an individual. Therefore, although his identity was extraordinary, it was not enough to cause a commotion among Ancestor Chiyu and the others, because he could not represent the Shen family. But Lin Xian was different. As the representative of the Immortal Martial Academy, his words might very well represent the will of the Immortal Martial Academy. This caused the Scarlet Moon Ancestor and the others to have no choice but to take him seriously. Thinking of this, Ancestor Chiyu's expression turned serious. He said in a clear voice, Sir Lin, please. Lin Xian entered the main hall at the invitation of all the important figures. Of course, Morong Qingqing was also traveling with him. Her status was even nobler than Ancestor Chiyu's, so no one cared where she wanted to go. As for the remaining group of ancient martial art practitioners, they were completely stunned. Their minds went blank. They didn't dare to believe it. Am I dreaming? Wasn't he brought here by Morong Qingqing? How did he become the representative of the Immortal Martial Academy? Who is this kid? Why do I feel that he is so mysterious? The crowd discussed fervently, feeling extremely shocked. The disciples of Crimson Crescent City looked solemn and worried. One must know that their attitude towards Lin Xian wasn't exactly good. If Lin Xian were to say something to Old Master Red Crescent City, they would be in deep trouble. Shen Yulong, Lu Lai and the rest also had gloomy expressions on their faces. Every status of Lin Xian caused them to be incomparably jealous. They had noble statuses and extraordinary talents. Usually, wherever they went, they would be surrounded by stars. But now they were actually inferior to someone else. Moreover, the other party was their enemy. This caused them to feel extremely unhappy in their hearts. There was even a trace of killing intent in their hearts. Outside, the ancient martial art practitioners were discussing fervently. Inside the main hall, the important figures were also shocked. Because just a moment ago, Lin Xian had told them about the Immortal Martial Auction. He even formally invited them to participate in the first Immortal Martial Auction. The hearts of the Ancestor Chiyu and the rest were filled with shock. They didn't expect this young man to have such courage, daring to establish a new Immortal Martial Auction in the territory of the Vientiane Auction. One must know that the Vientiane Auction was a subordinate force of young noble Ling Feng. By doing this, he was completely opposing young noble Ling Feng. But what made them even more shocked was that Lin Xian actually obtained the support of the Immortal Martial Academy. This caused everyone to be extremely shocked, because the Immortal Martial Academy had always been neutral. Although they had their own businesses, they didn't have any conflicts with other sovereigns. This time, they seemed to have violated this principle and directly stood on the opposite side of young noble Ling Feng. Young noble Ling Feng didn't only have his own power. Behind him stood the War God Palace. That was one of the top powers in the Continental Mountain. It wasn't any weaker than the Immortal Martial Academy. Were these two great powers going to fight for supremacy? Everyone's heart sank. It seemed like the Blood Realm was going to be chaotic. However, these people didn't reject the invitation to the auction. After all, they had to give face to the Immortal Martial Academy. Moreover, even if young noble Ling Feng was angry, he couldn't find fault with them. Hence, very quickly, the Scarlet Moon Ancestor and the others all agreed with a smile. Next, they chatted about something else. Grandmaster Mo and Lin Xian were discussing the Violet Spirit Pill. Naturally, other than the pill formula, Lin Xian also discussed the other matters with Grandmaster Mo. After all, Grandmaster Mo was a genuine 7th grade pill refiner. His experience and strength were also incomparably strong. It was a good opportunity for him to exchange some insights with Grandmaster Mo and verify what he had learned. As for Grandmaster Mo, the more they conversed, the more shocked he felt. Although this young man in front of him was young, his knowledge and attainments in the field of alchemy had far exceeded his imagination. There were even some theories that he had never heard of before. This caused him to be extremely shocked. He couldn't help but feel even more curious about Lin Xian. Lin Xian conversed with the various major characters for a long time before exiting with Morong Qingcheng. Not long after he exited, the news of the Immortal Martial Academy's invitation spread out. Everyone was extremely shocked when they heard that Lin Xian had already invited all the major characters in the Great Hall to participate. This was definitely a huge matter. Immortal Martial Auction. Just from the name, one could tell that the Immortal Martial Academy was behind it. For a period of time, the surrounding cultivators were all agitated. They were incomparably curious about the Immortal Martial Auction. There were even some who went up to ask Lin Xian about it. The Shun clan's disciples had gloomy expressions as they coldly snorted. As for the Lu clan's disciples, their expressions were somewhat malevolent. Especially Lu Lai, his eyes were filled with killing intent. The auction that Lin Xian established now was the original location of the Wanxiang auction house. However, the Wanxiang auction house was chased away by Lin Xian. The Wanxiang auction house was a subordinate power of young noble Ling Feng. Their Lu clan was also one of the 8 great clans under young noble Ling Feng. Their interests were the same as young noble Ling Feng's. Hence, Lin Xian establishing the Immortal Martial Auction House was undoubtedly a slap to their faces. Chapter 1026. When he saw all the forces surrounding Lin Xian, his lungs were about to explode from anger. One had to know that he was not only here for the birthday celebration, but also to make friends with the various forces and bring them under Sir Ling Feng's command. But now it seemed impossible. Seeing Lin Xian surrounded by the crowd, Lu Lai snorted. I advise some people to know their place. An auction is not something that can be built just because you want to. Let's not talk about other things. Can you guarantee the safety of the entire auction? If something goes wrong, I'm afraid you'll become a laughingstock. Hearing this, the crowd was shocked and fell silent. From Lu Lai's tone, the smell of gunpowder was too strong. Moreover, they knew about the grudge between the two parties. Not long ago, the two had even fought. Now because of the auction, Lu Lai had developed a strong enmity towards Lin Xian. You don't have to worry about whether I can protect it or not. At least, someone like you won't be able to cause any waves in the Immortal Martial Auction. Lin Xian said coldly. Whether I can cause any waves or not, you can try. Lu Lai snorted and stood up abruptly. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent, and his entire body emitted a terrifying aura. Like a peerless beast, he quickly awakened. Seeing Lu Lai's ferocious look, Lin Xian's face darkened. If you want to die, I can fulfill your wish. Lu Lai's continuous provocation had already entered Lin Xian's blacklist. If he did not teach him a lesson today, the Lu family would continue to jump around in front of him. You don't deserve to own the auction. That was originally the Wanxiang auction's territory. It belongs to our Sir Ling Feng. It'll let you know that there are some things that you can't touch. Lu Lai's expression was cold, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. You dare to kill me? Lin Xian sneered. Those who have tried to kill me are no longer around. I advise you to keep your tail between your legs. Don't forget that you were no match for me before. I was careless before, and didn't use my full strength. If I had used my full strength, you would have died without a doubt. Lu Lai's voice was sonorous as he released spiritual energy from his body. He was like a peerless ferocious beast, carrying a terrifying aura, as he pressed down on Lin Xian. Sensing this aura, everyone's expression changed. They no longer surrounded Lin Xian and quickly retreated. There was nothing they could do. Lu Lai's aura was too terrifying. Just his aura alone was unbearable. You want to fight? I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Xian said coldly, leave Crimson Crescent City. Don't disturb other people's birthday banquet. It doesn't matter where you go. You won't be able to change the fact that you're going to die. Since you want to choose a suitable grave for yourself, you can go wherever you want. Lu Lai's words shocked everyone. It seemed that this battle was unavoidable. Then they were extremely excited. The two of them had fought before, and they were evenly matched. Lin Xian had the upper hand. Now, if the two of them were to fight with their lives on the line, they did not know what the result would be. At this moment, countless cultivators were excited. They were looking forward to this battle. At the same time, they were discussing softly and guessing the result. Lu Lai was extremely powerful. He had reached the 4th level of the Venerable Realm at such a young age. Moreover, he was a genius disciple of the Lu family. His strength was enough to compete with the core disciples of a sovereign family. Lin Xian was even more extraordinary. The short exchange between the two of them showed that Lin Xian's strength was at least at the 4th level of the Venerable Realm. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to compete with Lu Lai. Moreover, he had an even more dazzling identity. He was a grade 7 pill inscription master. This was an identity that everyone looked up to. Both of them were top young geniuses. So this battle would definitely be a battle between a dragon and a tiger. How can we miss such an exciting battle? At this moment, Shen Yulong also walked out with a cold smile. He and Lin Xian did not get along, so he naturally would not miss this opportunity. Beside him, a cruel smile also appeared on Lung Qingnian's face. Although Lin Xian could refine grade 7 pills, and although Lin Xian's talent was stronger than his, he would be nothing if he died. Thinking of this, his body could not help but tremble. He must kill Lin Xian in this battle. Be careful, Morong Qingqing reminded. He must be extraordinary to be able to compete with the core disciples of a sovereign family. Don't underestimate him. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Lin Xian nodded slightly. Then, his body flashed, and he rushed into the sky, flying out of Crimson Crescent City. Morong Qingqing carried the snow-white little monkey, and also flew into the sky. The dark red divine dragon also turned into a ray of light, and followed behind. After Lin Xian made his move, Lu Lai let out a cold snort and quickly flew up. The surrounding ancient martial art practitioners also followed suit. They would not miss such an exciting battle. Everyone flew quickly, and quickly followed Lin Xian. Soon, they left Crimson Crescent City, and arrived at a mountain. Swoosh! Lin Xian landed on a mountain peak. It was a mountain range with steep cliffs and lush trees. It was a primitive scene. On the mountain peak, terrifying winds whistled like blades. Lin Xian stood on the mountain peak with his black hair fluttering. He stood with his hands behind his back, looking extremely fierce. The cultivators who came to watch the battle landed one after another, and chose a suitable place to observe. Lu Lai stood in the void and looked down. In the sky, the wind whistled, but Lu Lai's clothes did not flutter. His entire body emitted light that covered the entire sky. Crimson red spiritual energy burned like a sun that shone in all directions. A long spear appeared in his hand. The long spear was extremely red, like a burning flame. With a light shake, a terrifying force destroyed a mountain peak below. Lu Lai held the fiery red long spear in his hand. His gaze was cold as it pierced through the void. His aura was too strong. He was like a peerless ferocious beast that was unstoppable. On the mountain peak, Lin Xian stood proudly like an immortal. He was as sharp as a blade. Invisible auras gushed out crazily as the two's auras collided in the air. Bang! Bang! A deep sound rang out as terrifying cracks spread out in the air. They were as long as 1,000 meters. Everyone was shocked and quickly retreated. They realized that they were too close to the two, and that terrifying killing intent was flying towards them. Chapter 1027. Raging Dragon Spear Technique. Liu Chang used the Liu family's ultimate technique, the Raging Dragon Spear Technique. The fiery red spear emitted a blazing light that turned into countless spear lights that flew out quickly. Each spear light turned into a dragon that roared at the sky. The sound shook the surroundings. The entire sky was filled with the shadows of the dragons. The void trembled as if it couldn't bear it. Looking at this terrifying scene, Lin Xian frowned slightly. He had seen the Raging Dragon Spear technique before. Liu Chang had used it in the demon-slaying world. But now, the power that Lu Lai used was several times stronger than Liu Chang's. This was no longer a spear light, but a real flood dragon. Its huge body carried a terrifying power as it surged forward. Countless mountains below were crushed into rubble. Liu Chang was indeed very powerful. He had the ability to look down on everyone. Lin Xian also roared, and pulled out the Lone Star sword from his back. A sonorous sword sound was heard, like lightning streaking across the void. In the next moment, terrifying cracks spread rapidly in all directions. With a sweep of the sword light filled the sky. The sword aura surged and turned into a boundless sea of blood, emitting a terrifying bloodthirsty aura. Seeing Lin Xian attack, everyone was shocked and their mouths were wide open. Because each sword aura was blood-red and terrifying, the monstrous murderous aura emitted from it made everyone's heart tremble. Even their bodies were trembling. The blood-red sword aura was too terrifying. It could even affect the blood in their bodies. It was as if all the blood in their bodies was taken away and merged into the blood-red sword aura. The blood-red sword aura surged and could affect the blood in a person's body. This caused everyone to be extremely terrified. How could they fight? Before they could even make a move, all the blood in their bodies would be taken away. Countless blood-red sword aura surged. The terrifying sword light was extremely sharp, as if it could cut open the world. In the next moment, the blood-red sword light collided with the dragons in the sky, creating an earth-shattering roar. Endless flames surged and terrifying lightning struck in all directions. The entire world was destroyed. Lu Lai roared to the sky. Spiritual energy burned all over his body, making him look like a god. He mustered all of his strength and charged downwards at high speed. In addition, Liu Chang's entire being was incomparably ferocious, as if he was a demon god. Like a bloodthirsty demon king, he rushed down with thousands of flood dragon spear lights. Die brat! Lu Lai's voice was like thunder as he stabbed down with his fiery red spear. The mountains shook, and spiritual energy surged. The berserk spear light enveloped the entire mountain range. In the distance, everyone's eyelids twitched when they saw this. This Lu Lai was too strong. It was as if he wanted to blow up the entire world. He had made up his mind to kill in this battle. Apart from Shen Yu, Long Morong, and Rong Qingshu, no one else could withstand such a terrifying attack. It was so much so that a single strand of aura would be able to completely exterminate them. However, Lin Xian was not afraid at all. He looked up at the sky with an extremely cold expression. The next moment he swung his Lone Star sword again. Streaks of sword chi rushed into the clouds and slashed upwards. Every slash of the sword slashed a flood dragon into two halves. In an instant, the sky was filled with sword chi. The flood dragons split apart and turned into spiritual energy that dissipated in the sky. Seeing this, everyone was shocked again. Was Lu Lai going to be suppressed again? Lu Lai roared again. Martial soul out. Following his roar, the spiritual energy behind him surged wildly. A fiery red light soared into the sky and tore it apart. It was as if a demon king had been reborn. It was a gigantic flood dragon. Its scales shone brightly, as if it was a real flood dragon. It was dazzling. This flood dragon was 100 feet long. Its huge body filled the sky. It waved its huge claws and easily tore the void apart. The flood dragon martial soul was Lu Lai's martial soul. After summoning his martial soul, Lu Erli's strength reached its peak. His strength rose again and reached a new peak. In the next moment, he waved the fiery red spear in his hand and launched a fierce attack. Behind him, the huge flood dragon martial soul surged. It moved quickly along with Lu Lai's movements and roared into the sky. The light on its body condensed and turned into rays of light that fell down. It was a terrifying scene. It could kill an ordinary fourth-rank honorable realm cultivator. However, Lin Xian stood in the sky like a peerless god of death. Blood-red sword chi surrounded his body. With a wave of the Lone Star sword, surges of sword chi shot out in all directions, as if they were going to split the world apart. At this moment, Lin Xian unleashed the power of the great dragon sword soul to its maximum. At the same time, he waved his hand, and an ice lotus quickly formed in front of him. Ice lotus martial soul. Facing the powerful Lu Lai, Lin Xian summoned his second martial soul. Icy cold energy surged and spread in all directions. Immediately, the trees in the 3 rivers below were frozen. A world of ice and snow was quickly formed. Not only that, even the rays of light in the sky were frozen and slowed down. Some of them even turned into ice cubes and fell to the ground. Lin Xian waved his arm and made all the attacks unable to get close. How terrifying! The cold energy was too shocking. It could even freeze the spear. Seeing the scene in front of them, everyone was shocked. Lin Xian's strength was beyond their expectations. Shen Yilong frowned. He didn't expect Lin Xian to have such a powerful martial soul. It could even suppress Lu Lai. On the other side, although Morong Qingshu didn't say anything, his eyes flickered. It was obvious that the scene in front of him had shocked him. Morong Qingcheng, on the other hand, was like a fairy as a beautiful smile hung on the corner of her mouth. As for the other martial artists, they were all stunned. In the distance, Lu Lai stood in the sky. His black hair fluttered, and his eyes were like sharp swords that pierced through the void. The spiritual energy in his body burned fiercely. I didn't expect you to have an ice spirit martial soul. You can actually resist my furious dragon spear art. However, do you think you can win like this? You're too naive. Lu Lai's voice was as cold as a sharp blade. What other tricks do you have? Use them all. I'll let you know that all your tricks are useless in front of me. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. Lu Lai snorted coldly. He stood on the giant flood dragon with a long spear in his hand. Chapter 1028. The Black Dragon Bow was a famous murderous weapon. Rumor had it that it was made from the tendons of a real dragon. Ever since the Black Dragon Bow was born, it had killed many powerful warriors. It was extremely ferocious. Isn't that young Master Ling Feng's weapon? I didn't expect him to give it to Lu Lai. Rumor has it that young Master Ling Feng used the Black Dragon Bow to kill a 6th Heaven Venerable. One can imagine how terrifying the Black Dragon Bow is. Now that Lu Lai is using it, I'm afraid that Lin Xian is in danger. Many people were discussing. Morong Qingcheng's expression was also solemn. She had naturally heard of the Black Dragon Bow's ferocious reputation. However, she still chose to believe in Lin Xian, because even she couldn't fully understand Lin Xian's trump card. He should have a way to resist the Black Dragon Bow. It spun like a black bow, like a real dragon in the void. A terrifying bloody aura spread in all directions. The murderous aura formed a materialized light that swept across heaven and earth. The aura was too terrifying. It was as if the gates of hell had opened and countless demons had come to the human world. Lu Lai held the Black Dragon Bow in his hand and became demonic. Then he flicked it gently. Buzz! Immediately, there was a buzzing sound in heaven and earth. The sound was very terrifying. It shook the void as if countless demons were roaring crazily. Kid, it's your fortune to be able to die under the Black Dragon Bow. Lu Lai's expression was cold like a god fiend. The Black Dragon Bow had once killed a 6th heavenly layer venerable realm expert. Killing Lin Xian would be a piece of cake for it. Lu Lai's black hair fluttered in the wind. He held the Black Dragon Bow tightly and placed his other hand on the bowstring. Terrifying spiritual energy surged and formed a fiery red arrow. In the next moment, the crimson arrow flew out quickly. A red arrow flew towards Lin Xian like a bolt of lightning, accompanied by the furious roar of a dragon. The arrow carried a terrifying murderous aura that pierced through heaven and earth. It was as if a dragon had appeared and roared in all directions. The aura was too terrifying. It was as if it could pierce through heaven and earth. It carried a monstrous murderous aura as it rampaged through the void. Wherever it passed, pitch-black vortexes appeared in the void. When the crowd saw this scene, their hearts trembled violently. Some of the weaker ones were so frightened by the murderous aura that they fell to the ground. Even Shen Yulong, Morong Qingshu, and the others had ugly expressions. That aura was still able to threaten them. As expected of the Black Flood Dragon Bao, it's really fierce. Morong Qingqing held the snow-white little fox in her arms and looked ahead seriously. The dark red dragon god beside her was unusually excited. Kid, kill him and take that black bao. The moment the black dragon bao appeared, the dark red divine dragon had taken a liking to it. According to his many years of experience, this Black Flood Dragon bao was definitely not simple. It was very likely that it was a half-earth step artifact. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect Lu Lai to possess such a powerful weapon. Its aura was no weaker than his Lone Star Sword. Facing that terrifying arrow, Lin Xian did not dare to be careless. He held the Lone Star Sword tightly and pushed the Great Dragon Sword Soul with all his might. Then he swept it upwards. Sword Chi crisscrossed as the divine sword appeared in the sky. This sword heavily slashed on the blood-colored arrow, creating a sky-shaking sound. The terrifying sound wave directly shattered over 10 mountains nearby. In the end, that blood-colored arrow that was filled with killing intent was deflected by Lin Xian's sword. What? He actually deflected the arrow from the Black Flood Dragon bao. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. That was the Black Flood Dragon bao, the weapon that young Master Lingfeng once used. It was a powerful weapon that killed a 6th-level venerable. Now this weapon was given to Lu Lai. Although Lu Lai's strength was not as strong as young Master Lingfeng, using this weapon to kill a martial artist of the same level should not be a problem. But now, Lin Xian deflected the arrow from the Black Flood Dragon bao with a single sword. It was too shocking. Seeing this scene, Lu Lai snorted in disdain. He held the Black Flood Dragon bao in his hand and stood in the void. He looked down like a demon god. Don't be complacent. That arrow was just casually shot out. I did not use much strength. Now, I will let you see the true power of the Black Flood Dragon bao. Lu Lai's voice was cold as if he was the god of death. What? A casual attack? Hearing this, everyone's hearts trembled violently. This is too terrifying. A casual attack is already so terrifying. If he were to use his full strength, how terrifying would it be? No one dared to imagine. In the next moment, Lu Lai drew the Black Flood Dragon bao again in front of countless horrified eyes. Suddenly, an arrow that was filled with killing intent flew out. It was as if a flood dragon had been born. A terrifying aura swept across the void and instantly tore the entire void apart. A black crack appeared in the void. The entire void seemed to have been torn into two. The ground and mountains below were also split open. Everything within a radius of 10 miles was destroyed by the terrifying killing intent. This arrow was as if a peerless demon had been born. Lin Xian let out a long roar and activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul to the extreme. He waved the Lone Star Sword and slashed continuously. Sword Chi flew out and slashed the terrifying demonic dragon's body. Clanging sounds rang out and countless sparks flew out. It was as if a comet had hit the ground. This weapon was too terrifying. It was stained with the blood of an expert and had a demonic nature. Now that it was activated by Lu Lai, it was even more powerful to the extreme. Morong Qingshu's expression was grave. The terrifying killing intent shocked him. The terrifying arrow whistled through the air with a monstrous killing intent. It was like a long rainbow that instantly attacked below. If it were other honorable realm experts, they would not even need to fight back. The killing intent that was emitted would be enough to crush them. Moreover, what made people's scalps go numb was that after shooting this arrow, Lu Lai did not stop. Instead, he waved his arm again and shot out another 5 arrows. 5 arrows that were filled with killing intent flew across the void and quickly flew towards Lin Xian. This time, Lu Lai had the intention to kill. He must kill Lin Xian and nail him to the ground. Lin Xian's expression was also cold. He quickly activated the Ice Martial Soul and merged it with the Lone Star Sword. In the next moment, a monstrous chill was emitted. Countless snowstorms surrounded him, and he was like the divine king of ice and snow. Holding the Lone Star Sword, he quickly rushed forward, taking the initiative to attack. He is too bold. Seeing this scene, everyone's hearts trembled violently. If an ordinary person encountered such a situation, they would definitely use their extreme speed to dodge. However, Lin Xian took the initiative to meet the attack. Could it be that he is not afraid of the terrifying killing intent? In fact, the crowd did not know that Lin Xian was not afraid of the peerless killing intent. One had to know that he had the Blood Sword King's inheritance and cultivated the Tao of Slaughter. Therefore, although the Black Dragon Bow's killing intent was strong, it did not affect him. Moreover, Lin Xian did not plan to hold back this time. He had to take the initiative to attack and kill his opponent. The moment he rushed into the sky, the Red Lotus battle armor quickly formed and wrapped around his body. The monstrous killing intent and monstrous chi waves were all blocked outside his body. Chapter 1029. Lin Xian swung the Lone Star Sword continuously. Every sword chi was thicker than a mountain. It was as if they were the swords of a god. They heavily slashed at the 5 dragon arrows. Boom! Suddenly, a huge explosion occurred in the void. Endless light flickered and waves of air rolled, annihilating the sky. It was not over yet. Lin Xian used the illusory demon steps to increase his speed to the extreme. He quickly shuttled through the void and rushed towards Lu Lai. Although the Black Dragon Bow was fierce and powerful, it was also a long-range weapon. It would not be of much use in close combat, so Lin Xian chose to fight in close combat. Moreover, he had the Red Lotus armor to protect his body. He was not afraid of close combat at all. In the next moment, he arrived in front of Lu Lai like a ghost. He quickly swung the Lone Star Sword in his hand, forming a mysterious sword chi that slashed forward. "You're courting death." Lu Lai was furious. He did not expect his opponent to dare to fight in close combat. Moreover, he was able to arrive in front of him so quickly. This shocked him. In the next moment, he held the Black Dragon Bow and used it as a long saber, sweeping it out. The Black Dragon Bow was made from a real dragon. It was extremely hard and had already entered the ranks of Earth-rank treasures. Therefore, even if it was used as a long saber, the power would be unimaginable. A sonorous sound rang out. The entire void trembled. The ground below was even cracked into countless pieces because of the sound waves. The two of them fought in close combat. It was very intense. The terrifying aura was vast and mighty. The two of them fought all the way. Wherever they went, mountains and rivers would collapse. It was extremely terrifying. The spectators in the distance were shocked. This level of battle was too exciting. Every move was extremely terrifying. If they went up, they would probably be turned into a bloody mist in an instant. The two of them exchanged dozens of moves. It was earth-shattering. On the other hand, Lu Lai was extremely furious. His expression was ferocious because every time they collided, he had to expend a lot of mental energy to block the energy waves. However, his opponent was different. The red armor on Lin Xian's body blocked all the energy waves, making him very fierce. He would not be injured at all. In this tense situation, Lin Xian fought more and more fiercely. Gradually he showed signs of suppressing Lu Lai. This was unbearable. "Get lost!" Lu Lai roared. His black hair danced in the wind, as if he had gone mad. He quickly put away the Black Dragon Bow. With a roar, the spirit energy in his body surged. The huge shadow of the Black Dragon quickly swam behind him and attached itself to his arm, completely merging with his right hand. The current situation was no longer suitable for him to use the Black Dragon Bow, so Lu Lai did not hesitate. After fusing with the Jiao Dragon Martial Soul, his right hand became extremely strange. The scales on it shone, as if a Jiao dragon was circling around it. When the fist struck out, a dragon's head condensed into a gauntlet that wrapped around the entire fist. Then Lu Lai punched out. The fist wind surged like a flood dragon attacking, instantly shattering the void. The terrifying fist force spread out in all directions, causing the entire void to tremble. Flood Dragon Arm. This was one of Lu Lai's killing moves. It allowed his martial soul to fuse with his arm, producing a powerful attack that could even kill a fifth-layer Venerable Realm cultivator. Lu Lai's arm was like a demon. It was like a coiled dragon. His entire arm had a cold metallic glow. Above the fist, there was a dragon head roaring ferociously, its cold eyes open, carrying a ruthless and powerful aura, causing people's hearts to tremble. Boom! The fist completely enveloped Lin Xian and sent him flying. Fortunately, Lin Xian had the Red Lotus armor to protect his body, so he did not suffer any serious injuries. However, the terrifying force still caused his blood to boil. It was undeniable that Lu Lai was indeed a powerful opponent. However, Lin Xian was not afraid. He snorted coldly and quickly attacked. He activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul and released streaks of true Dragon Sword Qi. They slashed upwards and collided with the Jiao Dragon Fist. In an instant, the two of them exchanged more than 10 moves. What? He can actually resist the Jiao Dragon Wall. The surrounding people were shocked. Lu Lai was even more shocked. This was already his most powerful killing move, but it still could not do anything to his opponent. He could not accept this. At the thought of this, he gritted his teeth. Spiritual energy gathered in his head, forming a huge vortex that quickly surged into his entire arm. Then, the spiritual energy quickly burned and turned into a powerful energy. Dragon dances in the 9 heavens. Lu Lai roared into the sky and swung his fist with all his might. 9 Jiao Dragon shadows quickly surged out from his fist and circled around ferociously. Kid, go to hell. Lu Lai's ferocious laughter resounded in the sky along with the 9 Jiao Dragon Fist shadows. The 9 Jiao Dragon Fist shadows were too terrifying. They sealed the entire void, and the boundless spiritual energy seemed to want to refine Lin Xian alive. Feeling the aura, the crowd was terrified and quickly retreated. Even Morong Qingqing frowned and was extremely nervous. The dark red divine dragon waved its dragon claws and said fiercely, "Kid, use your trump card and kill him." Lin Xian felt a great sense of danger. The 9 Jiao Dragon Fist shadows above him were too terrifying. It made him shudder with fear. If he was hit by the 9 Jiao Dragon Fist shadows, he was afraid that he would be seriously injured even with the Red Lotus armor. This was not the result he wanted. In the next moment, he flipped his palm, and a bright red boxing glove covered his fist. On top of it, a red lotus bloomed enchantingly. As soon as the glove appeared, it emitted a dazzling light and rushed into the sky like a rainbow. Even the pressure formed by the 9 Jiao Dragon Fist shadows was scattered by the light. Red Lotus sky splitting. Lin Xian swung his fist and directly punched out. The light flickered, and a huge red fist shadow quickly flew toward the 9 Jiao Dragon Fist shadows. In the fist shadow, there seemed to be a red lotus swaying slightly and emitting a terrifying aura. What kind of boxing technique is this? It's too terrifying. Seeing this scene, the crowd's hearts almost jumped out. Their mouths were dry and they couldn't believe it. Shen Yulong and Morong Qingshu were also shocked at this moment, because they could clearly feel the aura of the Red Lotus boxing glove. It wasn't any weaker than the Lone Star Sword. What kind of treasure was that? Was it also a half-earth rank treasure? The two of them were shocked. Under the horrified gazes of the crowd, the Red Lotus boxing glove was vast and mighty. It fiercely collided with the Jiao Dragon Fist shadows and emitted an earth-shattering sound. Immediately, the entire void exploded. The 9 Jiao Dragon Fist shadows were torn apart like cloth. What? This is impossible! Lu Lai screamed. He was stunned and his mind was blank. That was his ultimate technique, but it was easily torn apart by someone in an instant. How was this possible? One had to know that this move was extremely terrifying. It had fused with the power of a martial soul. Even an ordinary 5th-level martial saint would have to use his full strength to block it. However, Lin Xian was in the same realm as him. How could he break his attack so easily? He couldn't believe it. However, while he was in a daze, the huge Red Lotus boxing glove had already broken through the defense of the 9 Jiao Dragon Fist shadows and rushed toward him. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.